Yeah, so this week in World of Warcraft, a recap of what's going on. Where did that come from?
Yeah, it's Dakor being a smart man.
Good man. Good man. Wad. It's so funny. Wad at least fought with us less. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
It's the okay, I put it this way, like a Wad with content is for me above like Shadowlands and BFA. Yeah. Just Wad didn't have the content, did it?
I mean, this might be telling of how I think a lot of these actually, come across as expansions. But I think like my most played expansions probably rank Legion, Warlords, maybe BFA. Wow. Legion, Warlords, maybe BFA, maybe Wrath. I'm not quite sure. I spent a lot of time playing. Playing BFA, but not playing BFA. I spent a lot of time running around Borealis in circles like an idiot. But in terms of like active playtime, it's probably Legion, Warlords, Wrath, TBC, BFA, and now Shadowlands is in there. Although it's still pretty high. For me, Shadowlands is low. Yeah. It's so sad. Shadowlands is low. BFA is also kind of low. At least with WoD, I'll say WoD was hyper playable. Yeah. And it just fought with you less, which meant that like it did have frustrating elements like that Apex is shit. Remember the Apexes? Getting those in the very early days of that expansion. You go to the big, the party finder grind in the Blazing Gorgrond and all that. But yeah, it just with WoD, like it just ran out of steam. It ran out of steam, and they sort of had a bunch of things that it's like they talked up WoD too much beforehand. Yeah. They marketed the fuck out of it, and then they just weren't able. Similar enough to with Shadowlands, they just didn't produce the goods afterwards. Yeah. I think the difference is, and why I actually am beginning to think that, I mean, for how I play the game right now, I'd take WoD any day over Shadowlands. Oh, for sure. Because I'd be able to raid log and have a few nice things without being just ass blasted with bullshit all the time. I mean, that's exactly my take. Where, like, Heimal's a fun raid, said Gavin. Yes, that said, I was one of the two hunters that were doing all the chores. So because of that, Heimal was fun. Yeah, one of the few people who could enjoy Butcher because I had a chore to do, and it was fun. Yeah. Man, fucking Bracken Spore going around with your flamethrower. Bit gimmicky, but sure. See, I was a flamethrower guy, and also, when you're doing that as a hunter and you're disengaging and all that shit. Oh, man. Yeah, anyway. Yeah. Warlords was good because it just let you play the game. There was the Legendary Ring, which is a small pain, but it was kind of okay enough, and it gave me reasons to hit up another alt, even though it was 6.2, and go do Blackrock Foundry. To get the ring parts, and it was relatively healthy as far as number of people doing it went. So it was like doing that on a bunch of different characters and alts, and like because that was the time I think on Mists I had played like a couple characters. Maybe was it Paladin, Druid, DK, and then in Warlords that's when I first played like every other class at max level because it was as easy as log in, do some old shit to get up. Okay, leveling content is good. Especially if you're splitting between different factions and you get a little bit of variety. Awesome. Then you just go and do the raids and get the gear. You're done. Yeah. Some gas and stuff aside, but I think what I see, I can't do it. I wouldn't do a tier list because people would see the image and then have thoughts about it. Yeah. Whereas for me, there's all of the, hang on. Because when I do this, I'm not doing it like for like today. I am doing it for an expansion in its time. And kind of also where it met me. So for that, Wrath of the Lich King is where the stars lined up in terms of it lining up with me as well. Yeah. Like I played pretty heavily at the start, took a little bit of a break and missed Ulduar, which I'm very sad about. In a way, to the opposite of you, because you did Ulduar but didn't do ICC. Then I came back a bit harder for Trial of the Crusader, and then ICC, rated ICC is like that was the that and TOC were like the first ones I properly rated. So for me, like. And then just having Sarth and all of that, and Onyxia, I just liked those bits of side content. And it was just at that time where, things were a bit slow. It was blisteringly fast compared to, say, TBC, obviously. But just the way the gearing worked, it was like, okay, cool. So to get my Windrunner's battle gear, whatever the fuck it was called, I just, I can see the vendor, I can see the tokens, and I'm like, okay, cool, here's a gearing plan for my character. And I just remember, doing that, watching Coparian, Tribunal X Hunter, Warcraft Hunters Union. Or they used to do the music videos. That was all fun. So I think for me, like, Wrath is number one when you add in that dimension of where I was.
Yeah.
And then Cataclysm was an immediate step down and a step up for me. It was a step down in terms of overall content. Or I didn't feel like its dailies and stuff were as cool. And Tol Barad was like a big downgrade over Wintergrasp. And Wintergrasp was kind of fun to me, I guess. But it was like sort of drama and stuff, which meant basically it was like a guild schism and sort of some awkward stuff. But like I felt like, at least at the time, the quality of like the raids, I thought that was really good. And I was in a position where at least initially I wasn't cut off by the removal of the more friends and family oriented ICC 10.
Yeah.
So, you know, it kind of all went good, but overall the expansion just didn't have enough content, didn't have enough stuff to keep me going. And man, I wish I had a dabble in PvP at that time, because all the Kata PvP, or all the people say Kata PvP was great, and I'm pissed off I missed that. Then for me, it's like MoP. It's like it had pros and cons at its launch. It really came into its own when it came to its patches. Its raid content was top notch, and like I dabbled in it. I did clear its whole first tier. No, I did. Yeah, I cleared its whole first tier while it was current tier. And I think I dabbled in 1 or 2 heroics, and then it was like straight into raiding, right? So I think for me, Wrath is like number one because the stars aligned with my own experience. Then it's probably MoP. Then it's MoP. And then it's not Warlords of Draenor, it's probably Legion. Then it's WoD. And I'm not even counting TBC and Classic, by the way.
Yeah, there.
And then, then it's BFA, and then it's Shadowlands. Because I think a part of it for me as well is whenever I see a game be full of really hostile designs, that actually, it does damage my ability to enjoy other aspects of the game.
Substantially.
Because it just feels like it's a sort of self-conflicting mess.
Yeah.
Which is why I would explain Shadowlands and BFA being quite low.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. It's like Shadowlands is just full of stuff. It's like, ugh, I have to do this. I have to do this. Whereas in WoD, I just logged in and went, game time, That's kind of, it was the simple thing of one loop. Where I feel the same in other games, where if a game shows up and goes, oh yeah, go do this, go do this before you get to do what you want. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why are you trying to force me to play? I want to play. Why are you trying to force me? Which is why I just like stuff where it's like completely natural. Proceed as you like. Do whatever you want. That's what the better World of Warcraft expansions have been to me. Of just, there's no hostile design. It's just a smooth ride from top to bottom.
Like MoP didn't have the hostility, and another thing that I liked with MoP, and it's really weird for me with MoP because it's like I would have liked the Pandaren to have more depth and be a bit less, because it's like I really enjoy the vibe, but sometimes it felt a bit surface level, like a wee bit Disney. So like I had some criticisms there, but like especially as it came into the patches, and then it was that thing where each patch was like pretty inventive and did something new and shook it up, and that really gave me this like level of faith that like this game is growing and evolving and it still has fresh ideas. And then they basically, from that point onward, just decided, okay, Timeless Isle worked, so we'll just try to refine that and make it different and iterate it for every single other similar thing. And, for me, then that did lose some of that feeling of adventure and discovery with new WoW patches. So I guess that's a weird, spontaneous tier list ranking thing, accidental segment, all because Dakor decided to put a meme in our document.
Just said Warlords of Draenor are good. We're like, you know what?
Thanks, Dak.
Aye.
So, let's get into the news, where there is new patch 9.1.5 information.
Next one.
It's pretty good. So, greetings everyone. Our characters in-game are a virtual representation of who we are in Azeroth, and having more customization options to design our characters makes us feel closer to them. Shadowlands brought a whole new array, but the allied races didn't get much attention. back, BlizzConline in February, we stated that we had no plans to add additional customization options till after Shadowlands. But after hearing the passionate feedback, and it certainly was, around the issue, we looked into whether we could implement more options sooner. We're pleased to announce the 9.1.5 will introduce new character customization options for Nightborne and LF Draenei, which will include hairstyles, hair colors, facial hair, skin colors, accessories, horns, tail length, tattoos, and more.
So here's the situation. I remember being very salted whenever they added the new Draenei stuff. I was like, cool, why can't my LF Draenei have any of that? What the fuck is this mess of a game? And I briefly considered race changing, and I went, no, I'm not going to give them 19 quid because they're too lazy to make things happen. So I'm kind of torn, because on one hand, I want them to just be, you know, a mirror of all of the other Elf and Draenei customizations. But at the same time, I'd love to see them be creative and add something new. But based on the scope of this, I imagine it's a copy-paste, but it works. That's what I imagine.
Oh, yeah, for
anyway.
adding in, like, the... like ensuring the Draenei can get... Lightforge can get what the regular Draenei can. There's probably more custom work for the Nightborne and stuff. Especially because the Nightborne are pretty borked.
Yeah, they're big scuff. Like,
yeah, they've been scuffed since they came out, oddly.
Yeah, so I'm wondering... will this be their opportunity to actually try to fix some of the stuff with Nightborne? I mean, not that they can fix base problems without a bigger change, but if they can do customizations that cover it up a little bit, because obviously the new customizations they add have more capabilities than older customizations. Because if you look at some of the newer like skin tones for humans, they will actually, you know, they'll change what's literally available. Same with DK skin colors, where you can't have like the green orc skin with the DK what do you call it? Like the DK damaged face stuff. It's a package deal for some of that stuff. So I feel like if they can do that and actually upgrade them through just a couple of customization options, then they can kind of nail the. They can get the headline. We did it. We fixed the Nightborne. It only took us 2018.
Yeah, that's the uncomfortable bit here. It's not like the Shadowlands customization features were really hailed as like, oh wow, this is. I mean, it was great to have in the context of only WoW, but just about everybody would have agreed that WoW was severely lacking in those options compared to other things in the market. And I would then say, it's very easy to make that criticism. We also do need to take into account that WoW is fundamentally running in just older tech, and it does seem like. Just if I look at, say, a game like FF, or even, say, like Black Desert Online.
Yeah.
And... what's the right way to talk about it? At least from a technical level, you could see how the way that things work in, say, BDO is way less, in a way, artist-intensive. Whereas I think Blizzard's is far more, you know, making manual Lego blocks instead of giving your user a set of variables to play with. And I think that would be the way to explain it to people.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but yeah, it was basically just WoW like playing catch up with the rest. So again, it's one of those things. It never should have been that bad, and for as long as it was, that still is the case. But it is good that it's being looked at, and if anything, this, especially when combined with another story that I just picked up because I think Icy Veins tweeted it. It was a Reddit post, and I found the Reddit post, and it was like, oh fuck, wow. Because I think I remember doing a video like that a long time ago, and I totally forgot it was even a thing you could do. It was really cool to see a Redditor do it, and it's just really interesting, just in the quantity of 3D assets.
Oh, yeah.
Comparing, it's like Legion's got like double Shadowlands. It's fucking wild.
Yep.
So yeah, anyway, look, this is a good thing, and it's very much them doing this. It is at least saying, hey, we listened to you. We listened to you. Honestly, we really did. Yeah. Now, what I would love to see is the systems design people listening to us. And I want to see this, but for how World of Warcraft actually plays.
Yeah, because this is a free win. This is a free win. It probably took a decent bit of effort, but not a substantial amount. Otherwise, they would have, you know, if it was easy, they would have done it before. Because I highly doubt they're holding things in their back pocket to cover up things, or they would have brought this one out a bit earlier. But it's the idea of just, you know, they're pushing this through. Can we get the easy wins for the game, please, next?
Yeah.
May or may not have a video upcoming in that.
Yeah, the other side is druid forms. Of course, we don't know what the new ones are, but there's the normal ones, the dino, the moose, the dross stag, and the various different permutations of the stag, as well as the cheetah for Mark of the cheetah glyph, and the doe for Mark of the doe. Then, of course, your legion artifact things you can now mog on to your druid. But apparently there's going to be new druid forms. I think that's really cool. It's one of the... I wish druid gameplay meshed with me, because I love the fantasy and I just love all the different, all the different things you can get, and also new Nightface soul shapes, which, good enough. Apparently new toys. Who really knows? And more things to spam on the floor before a boss pull,
or more numbers for your numbers box to go bigger. I don't know.
So some people are big into that numbers box. Then they also did say that High Mountain Tauren are coming next. After the more recent wave.
Good, but also
that said, I want to hear, as Dakor calls out here, I want to hear about in-game systems and quality of life. That's what I really want to hear about. So hopefully they'll do a blue post soon.
Yeah, I would certainly hope so. I think it might just take longer to prep, because I'm the only one I'm actually expecting, to be honest, is Torghast leveling. That's the only one I'm expecting, but only because that's the only one publicly they mentioned, because it was it John Haidt or was it Morgan Day?
I thought it was Morgan Day.
It was Morgan Day.
And he said it was more of a systems patch thing.
Yeah, he's more of a systems patch thing, and then we're like, is that a hard confirmation of Torghast leveling?
Does that mean that
9.1.5?
9.1 is the patch with bad systems and 9.1.5 is the patch with less bad systems? Cool. Cool. Yep. Epic.
Yeah, it's really 9.1.2. Well, 9.1.5. I'm trying to think of what 9.1. No, it's just 9.12.
Will it feel like a beta? That's the question.
Yes.
So there's that going on. Moving on to some of our other stories then. Level 60 group listing requirements, which basically, characters must now be level 60 in order to list group finder groups for Mythic Plus Dungeons or Shadowlands raids.
Why is that, I wonder?
Well,
Any idea?
This should help filter out some of the selling spam on the LFG tool. Or you could just let us filter. Just give us a text filter.
Yeah.
That would be good.
It gives a text filter, or even literally can we somehow have a macro that lets us report and hide on click, or something, or a button that's just when you click it, your hand turns into an X and you just delete things, and instead of going right click report, you have to do that for 15 times every day if you want to raid.
Yeah, like so they've got to do something overall for sellers. Yeah. This is good. I would say a good bandage solution in the very short term is just a text filter, because that will at least give the users of the game a little bit more power in that regard. Yeah. So I think they should definitely do that, and maybe think about what they can do long term, because I think a lot of people are just dissatisfied with... It's really weird, because I'm logically pro there being a services sector to the WoW economy as well as a goods sector. I think the problem is when those services get things beyond what is supplied by the goods market in a way where it's really supposed to be something you achieve yourself. That's when it becomes problematic for the game. Doubly so when WoW token, triply so, quadruply so whenever WoW token is there. And we're doing a lot of research on the boosting issue. I can't tell you if I'll have a full video, because people really enjoyed your initial foray into it. I might do that.
Yeah, there's a substantial amount of people who have reached out to me with specific things and specific questions or promises of information, and I'm very sorry. I was off for a week there. I've had no time to get back to anyone. I will do that as soon as it's possibly available, because your information will be extremely useful for me putting together. I was going to say a case. Maybe that's not quite correctly, because that sounds like it's in some form important. Put together some information so we can actually get to the truth of it, or get further to the truth of it, and communicate that to people.
Yeah.
But that's
So there's that going on. We have some other things, though. Random legendary power book for catalogued research. Yes, the Chronicle of Lost Memories is now available for 2,000 research, with Tier 3 of the Archivist's Codex. Developer note, thank you for all your feedback on alts and how difficult it can be to acquire some legendary patterns, especially from Nathria, now that Sanctum is out. We hope this can give you a new way to acquire your last few legendaries by engaging with the newer Korthia content. This is a good move in the right direction. Also, more fucking random!
Yeah, so...
Stop it! Stop it! I don't... it's like, think about the user's problem here. The user is that they want something for their alt so they can do a thing they want to do on their alt. And if they're trying to hunt down these legendaries, it's pretty obvious what they're trying to be doing. So if you are going to provide them some catch-up thing, I would maybe say double its price and make them specific.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I mean,
because there should be a price for getting exactly what you want. It should take longer. But I guess the way that maybe a belief that I have when it comes to the design of things like this is that you really do want to focus on that journey. So instead of it, it being like fast daily progress, reward, and will it be the reward that I want?
Yeah.
I am far more a fan of, slow, work for 3-4 days. Not that this would take 3 or 4 days, but, slow, work for it, then you've earned it. Instead of you did a little bit of work and then the randomness gave it to you. I think that's a very, very, very core thing in how players actually emotionally experience a game system. So, I'm glad that this is here, and I know this will help people. It just, again, if somebody's going with an alt and their Stygia catch-up gear is random, and this is random, that doesn't really feel great.
Oh, also, don't forget, there's actually an additional layer of randomness to this.
Oh,
because
poggers!
Remember that the amount of research you get is random.
Of course.
Because there's a massive disparity in how much you can get per day in Korthia, depending on how lucky you are. Not even just based on spawns or anything, literally just, a rare can drop between X to Y. That's it. And it's... Let me see if I can remember it. Because I've got a teaser for because I was putting some work into a script today, and on a topic like this, I had a line that I thought was pretty, or an idea at least that was interesting, which is World of Warcraft gained its reputation and gained its player base and gained everything from being virtual work. It's not a virtual casino. So when you go to work, you don't hope your paycheck's fucking Titan forged. You get your paycheck and you go, this is my paycheck based on how much work I've done. I will go and spend it on the thing I want. You can maybe then go and spend it in the casino, but it's that's it.
Sorry lads, we only Warforged this month.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is.
Just every time we calculate the quarterly bonus, here's the base bonus, and now it's our fun applier, and I just get a bunch of dice, I roll them on the table.
Oh, fuck's sake. See, that's the thing. Here's a little tip about design. That would be fine if it were small and always a bonus.
Aha.
Always a very small bonus.
Yeah.
But you never want people to rely on it, because then that becomes a new baseline.
So I think that a useful way to think through a product is to think about the user story, right? And I don't just mean, here's Jim, and we put a picture of Jim up on the wall like we're some fucking corporate design firm. We're like, well, what does Jim, an average 30 to 35-year-old male, think about this? Focus group ass bullshit is, what those people end up sort of talking about. But think about a user story. So think about a user who's engaging with these systems. So let's just say they've got an alt, they want to get caught up in those things. Their intended gameplay is, go to Korthia, do their dailies, plant their character in the middle of the zone, and either look at chat for some things every, however many minutes, and then run to the map, hope you catch the rare mob in time, kill the rare mob, get a random amount of resources, then go back to the middle of Korthia, because you have to go to the middle of the zone, obviously, because, travel times and stuff. Mm-hmm. Or alternatively, they just, they just use Tomcats, and you get a little red flashing icon, they go to the icon. So that is how you earn the catalog research. That, and there is the fun of catalog research, I will say, which is when you're doing those initial ones, especially the more questy ones. Those are cool. Mm-hmm. Those are cool. But once that's done, that is just your very So your daily gameplay, and then you're going to tell this person that. And this is what's funny. So for doing all of this, they'll have got some conduit upgrade items. They will have maybe some Stygia if they've tried to do that for the Korthian armaments. If you follow Des Mephisto on Twitter, you'll see his trials and tribulations in not only the Kyrian special activity, but also in trying to get the transmog sets from the dailies in Korthia, where the poor fucker, he's been doing this shit every day, trying to collect his mogs. And just the sheer randomness. There's some of the sets, he's got 2 pieces. He's been doing this every day since Korthia came out.
Yeah, it's about the quest spawns and him saying something will take 200, 300 something days. because it's just deterministic.
I think that's just legit. Didn't fucking think about it.
Yep.
But so the person's doing all this random stuff to get the quantities of the catalog research, and then it kind of comes to the spoils of war, right? The thing they've earned from doing all of those efforts. Okay, so let's just say they want to get some Legos. Well, those are going to be random in a system like this, and because of how this thing works. This very much is only something, if you're targeting a Lego, you want to go get all the other easy ones first.
Yeah, of course.
So that you narrow down the chances of the RNG, in which case you're really not playing the game, you're playing the system, and that doesn't feel great. And then let's just say they want to spend some Stygia. Well, number one, they'll have to get 2,500, of course, to get the little chisel. But beyond that, let's just say they want some of that BOA gear. Well, every time, even if you're buying a whole bunch of those things to send over, from your main to an alt, unlike benthic gear and previous catch-up systems, it's just one token random for every slot instead of per slot random tokens. So that's random. Then you have your conduit upgrade items, which until very recently wouldn't even be for the spec that you wanted. At least now it's for the spec you want, but maybe not the conduit you want, and some conduits are basically just dead and useless.
Yep.
And let's be real, if you're raiding or something, you do care about the potency conduit, not the finesse and the endurance ones. As much as the finesse and endurance ones are very useful, and especially as a paladin. I know you're a big fan.
Divine State duration, I'm going to...
Overclocked wheelchair, zoom. Rocket boosters in that bad boy.
I'm going to miss it so bad.
So that's the thing I'd say. I think this is good. It will help people. They've correctly identified the castle Nathria problem. I'm surprised they didn't know that would be a problem when they were making this system, especially considering they ran into the exact same problem with essences in patch 8.2, where I think there were still some people who I think wanted the one from Ashara in patch 8.3.
Yep. Also, the trinket a lot as well, so that could have been...
Oh, the razor?
No, well, I guess the Razor Claw from Ashvane was also a thing, but it was the Ashara's... I can't remember what it was called. The Font of Power, the overwhelming thing, the thing that everyone stood before cast and used.
So yeah, that's just what I'd say, Blizzard. Just think about the layers of randomness and what the user story is there, because if they let's be real, sitting in the middle of the map waiting for rare spawns is not super fun. So somebody's probably just done what they thought is a chore.
Yep.
For a quantity of time, and then you hit them with the random rewards. And then what happens is, because people generally will weigh a negative experience more than a positive one, which people need to think about deeply when they're doing rewards design, it's just going to teach them that it's really not worth fully engaging in those systems.
I mean, that is literally the feeling I have all the time. And that's why I'm so enamored with... I've been playing a bunch of FF14, of course, but also I've been playing a lot of... what are they called? All right, what's got you?
Rob in chat.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad when you miss the Azurite gear vendor. Almost like Domination gear could use it.
But
if only we had Valor points and Justice points that worked in PvE content.
You'd also have to, then have to learn from... they'd have to learn from their mistakes. But no, it's it is that problem of just layers of randomness. And I log into FF14 and I'm like, well, this is going to be a fucking grind. The next relic step is going to be a grind. I know that. But I at least know that I go do a thing, I get the thing, I'm done. Is it going to take me a couple hours? Yeah. But I am going to go through it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, I may not enjoy my experience because it's a fucking grind, but it's virtual work. It's not a virtual casino. That's the major difference. And it's why I've even been playing a bunch of it's why I did started the fucking Final Fantasy X endgame experience, which is a massive grind. But I'm just okay, number go up. I spend the number on the thing. Look at this. It's actually, it's a linear grind. Some speed adjustments depending on some slight randomness because it's an RPG. But it's just the idea of, I can play a game and make progress. And that's what's hooked into the human brain. Make progress instead of rolling a bunch of dice. It's kind of like rolling dice in the casino is feels like a dirty version of work, where work is clean and randomness is dirty, if you kind of follow the clean and dirty eating kind of analogy, as opposed to physically clean and dirty. So that's what it feels like. And I mean, remember that this isn't even new, because the book's available for grateful offerings from your Covenant vendor. So they didn't know about the problem, they just didn't bother fixing it again, or maybe they thought people would be doing content that gets some grateful offerings, which I don't think anyone's doing unless they want specific transmog sets.
Yeah. Things they think are fun turn out not to be fun, I think, because they, well, let's not speculate about that, but I think we've sort of highlighted the issue of the multi-layers of RNG and how that may not be enjoyable to many players. I think especially the players who are currently moving over to another... I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say to Final Fantasy XIV, a critically acclaimed game that has in fact got a free trial that does last, no charge.
Forever.
Funny enough, it's forever. It lasts up until the Heavensward expansion, which, by the way, is critically acclaimed. Not just that one. Also, and I heard, I saw some people talking about going on to Guild Wars 2. And I just like, oh, fuck. Because... yeah, like, I played some Guild Wars 2, like, way at the start. Now, yeah, like, I've heard cool things about Guild Wars 2. Okay, I'll just level with you guys. Here's what I want to do in the fucking depth of my soul. There's, like, two things, content-wise. Number one is I want to get all of our game dev efforts turning into YouTube content as well, so that people actually get, like, a little bit of a window into that, and there'll be some announcements and things to do, which actually I did want to have done by this month, but honestly, the whole Blizzard big implosion, it was just, we were so fucking just basically, me and Matt were ground into dust. He was, Matt's been off the last 4 days. I've been a useless slug man for a while, and certainly our mental health collectively not really went in the right direction. But I think, as we talked about today, it's like moving a little bit in the, maybe some realizations or whatever have occurred. But the two things I want to do is I want to rename this channel to Bellular Warcraft, so that's more clear to people. And then I want to do a Bellular gaming channel, because there's multiple FF videos. Now, these are probably done by me, and probably done by... at least for the ones in my head, because they're very specifically about, here's the shit that literally I wish I knew. Here's the things I've noticed that I've really enjoyed, or some of the things I haven't enjoyed as much. Like, very much, experiential shit. But I want to hop in, to Guild Wars 2. It can't be on my own account, but you know whose account it is, who has, like, all the mounts. Yeah. And I really want to do a highlight video on the mounts for people. So, yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows?
You love those mounts, man.
It's just such a cool system. So, yeah, like a more general... but time's a real bastard.
Also, ESO is a free trial going on at the moment.
And as a good example, actually, for why we did go into Is in Heart's video, there's Daniel Olsen popping up saying, great video by Is in Heart, and calling us a clickbaiter. You see, that's the problem. People like poor Daniel here are the people who have been lied to and misled. Because Daniel Isn's points are really weak. And most of the shit that he accuses us of, we didn't do, but he actually did do to us. And that's why we had to do things like the initial segment on this stream. Because, precision is important.
Yeah, we are.
Precision is important. And precision means being clear about what numbers are when you're talking about them, which we were. Including what stuff is, from what source, from the API, what is us, like, extrapolating, all that shit. So, yeah. It's funny. We should do those channels. Certainly, whenever we get going with dev... like, what I'd really like to do is a bit more similar to Star Citizen. It's like, I don't mean game-wise. Unless there's any Saudi princes in chat who have just got, like, a bunch of... Yeah, look, we won't even accept cash. Like, we'll take cash if you have it, but just give us some oil and I'm sure we'll find a way to flip it.
We have enough stuff in the office. Don't need oil in here too.
We'll turn the oil into red diesel. And then we'll sell red diesel to people. Just stop by your place in Cookstown. I think it would work.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Set up nicely beside the border. Off we go.
Yeah, fantastic. But yeah, something like that going into things, because just between our shit, there's actually quite a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like, Ethan and Thomas are like in there. Nice. Or at least when we started the stream, they were in there. I really hope they're gone by now.
Yeah, that's an hour and 45 minutes ago. I hope they're going home on Friday.
So, to continue then, there is the Biss Fire Mage Legendary Sun King's Blessing. What's going on here? Because, to be honest,
So, what they've done...
do a massive amount of prep.
What they've done is they've fixed a bug that was apparently quite obvious to a lot of people. And fairly obvious if you look at it, And they fixed the bug, and now the Sun King's Blessing is now the best for fire on single target. So there you go. Anyone who's playing Fire Mage and doesn't have Sun King's Blessing, get back into Torghast. Also buy another WoE token for the legendary. I mean, I can't remember. No, I don't think you would have had Sun King's Blessing from before. Maybe you would have. I can't remember how Fire Mage went out in 9.0. But yeah, just new legendary. Or not new legendary. Legendary is now the best because they fixed the bug that made it not do what it said in the tooltip. It triggered after 9 hot streaks instead of 8. Even though the tooltip said 8. They're like, whoops, try with that.
Oh,
Fixed.
whoops.
It's now slightly better. So go get it again. But that's a thing where, like, back in the day, whenever they changed, like, a talent, they give you a talent respec, right, for free. You logged in and it went, your talents have changed. Here you go. They don't do that anymore. Well, I think they do that if your talents change, but it's like part of the system. But that doesn't matter anymore talent-wise. But they don't do that for legendaries. Whereas, like, here, we've fixed your legendary. Sorry if you just got it to rank 6 or got it to rank 6 and spent hundreds of thousands of gold to do that. Sorry, you're gonna have to change it again.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Well, hey, no.
Because we fucked up.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
You fucking lying piece of shit. You prick.
What have I done?
Legendary recrafting is not a problem.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, I forgot.
Remember?
Yep.
Right? Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So I forgot.
Legendary recrafting is definitely an issue. Which is why I just think they should add a scrapper, because look, if the Soul Ash and the Cinders, just to use them as the example, if the ones of those that you get always stand to your character, then now there is a downside, right? Where like if you don't want to just get one and then remake the thing all the time, but you'd hope the gold costs prevent somebody from doing that, or something like that. But you do that, and then every time somebody gets Soul Ash, you're like, okay, cool, I've got some Soul Ash, that's always going to stand to my character. They'll never be worried that like, oh, if I have to recraft this, then all of that work that I did in the past will be made moot. And then Blizzard's only way to make it not be made moot is to increase the reward quantities, which then is that thing of always nerfing your past efforts to make doing things now okay, which is obviously just training people that playing the game never makes sense. Not never makes sense, but putting effort in sort of above and beyond the minimum doesn't make sense because it'll be caught up, or numbers will be scaled to make your efforts go into oblivion. Yeah.
So why? So they know they're fixing this, right? They know they're changing this. Why does every fire mage who has, or just every fire mage, just be nice because it doesn't matter? Why doesn't every fire mage just get a wee legendary refund token in their post box? Like, actual genuine question. Why? There's no satisfying answer. I think it's endemic of the problem.
So sorry you bought a WoW token, but the rules have changed. And it's just that thing. Look, hey, if you have made a part of your business model selling WoW token, then we have got to have WoW token as a part of the equation whenever we talk about things like this, especially when you make your legendaries that expensive in terms of raw gold.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If WoW token didn't exist, we could just say, well, that's not considered gold because it's part of the natural economy of the game. There's maybe some gold generation design to be considered, but it's natural. But now Blizzard make money, so they're incentivized.
Yeah.
Is anyone on the team going to make a decision towards that? Probably not, unless a higher up is breathing down their neck. But it exists, and we don't know what's going on there, so we have to bring it up. So it's just like, I can't wait for them to fix other legendaries. It's like, oh, sorry, this one wasn't working. That's a wee 10% buff. And then they just see the little revenue spike go bing. They're like, that worked. What if we fix other legendaries? What if we arbitrarily change a load of design that costs money all the time? How's that? Does that sound good? But yeah, that's the thing that gets me. It's like the win is so easy. The way to make this not suck is so easy. I mean, if it's not easy, then they've got bigger problems to solve. If they can't get someone to make a legendary recraft token or refund token that, breaks the legendary down, gives you its constituent parts back. If they can't do that, then they have more problems than than players being angry about this, which, Fire Mage is probably kind of pissed. Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that stuff going on. Moving on, the Wicked Bolt cast time has been increased to 2 seconds from 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Big shit.
Huge.
But hey, I will definitely say I appreciate Blizzard's. I do appreciate Blizzard being decently active when it comes to the Mythic Plus. I think maybe Blizzard looked at the same numbers that we looked at with Mythic Plus. They saw it's going down, and maybe just when it comes to their tuning team, they're like, oh, okay, we really do need to actively keep on tuning this and see where the player. And it must be so cool. This is something I'd love to get a glimpse of, or even if, for Blizzard to. It would be so cool if they've just released this at maybe one of the nerdy side panels at BlizzCon. Heat map of deaths, because you can be sure that these. That they've got telemetry and all of this shit, and then when they're balancing, they're doing it based on that telemetry. So it would be so fascinating just to see that, like, do they see, oh, there's a hot spot of player deaths here? Is it because something's harder than we truly intend, and is that a problem? I just think the whole process is fascinating, and just certainly it must be. I know the Mythic Plus community have got criticisms of Blizz right now, and I think it'd be really nice if they could, account wide the whole Valor point, upgrades. But it must at least be nice that it does seem like problems are identified and they're worked on and they're hotfixed in.
Yeah, I think
I can't speak with high authority on at all.
Yeah, it feels
part of the game
like the dungeon and raid balance teams are fairly active enough. It's like they're happy to change those instead of tweaking class values, because you'll very rarely see class values tweaked in a hotfix like that, but they're kind of going, here's a tiny variable we're tweaking, and you're like, you know what, fair, good stuff. Good
so
stuff.
next they have this is also a good thing. They've buffed the Korthite Crystal drop chance from the from the Maw Salt box, Korthia Weekly box, and Broker Daily quests. This is good. Bring down the price of tokens, or sorry, not tokens, of legendaries, and like in a world where Blizzard do have an incentive for legendaries to be expensive, but it's one you can sort of, I don't want to say debunk, but you can argue against. They have a financial incentive to make them expensive so that people go and purchase tokens to get the gold to buy the Legos. They open themselves up to that criticism whenever they engage in that as a part of their business model. In the same way that EVE Online, with its Plex, does that, and in the same way that WildStar with Cred, I believe they called it, you can open up lines of criticism there. But the other thing is that if you do make it so that it's that expensive, you'll decrease engagement and drive people away from the game. And certainly in the face of you being open to a criticism relating to incentives and WoW Token, when we then see, oh, you're buffing that, you're doing something that will decrease the cost of those legendaries, I think to a lot of players, that's a good thing to see. Now, that said, most people who have spent a token on their legendary have already done so.
Yeah.
So maybe
could
have done that a bit better earlier.
That actually brings to a decent question in chat. Just Hollow Weswolf, or Corblow, as she's known. That's fucking... Who's going to get that joke? What the fuck? Anyway. Yeah, why are you giving WoW praise for things that should not have released the way they are? Because we don't have a choice. It's the kind of thing where we have to praise them for doing good work, because if we only attack them, they get so little right first time that it would feel like a never-ending, never-ending destruction of them. So whenever they do good change, we're like, okay, good. Can we have this at launch next time? Is it the right choice? Because the other thing is to say, well, you've released this shit. Oh, well, don't change it now. Then we just have this thing that isn't done correctly, or, doesn't work. I mean, it's the exact same for the, I assume that was in reference to the Wicked Bolt Custom increase, but also the Crystal drop chance. Where it's like, you've just made everyone who bought Legendary feel like shit. Because you've got this habit of going, you've got a tiered experience depending on when you bother playing. And that doesn't, it feels intentional, which is really, really annoying, because it can't be intentional that they tier a player's experience actively. Yeah. They must be doing it by accident, by virtue of how they design things from another perspective. And you're just kicking everyone in the nuts every time you make a change like this. So if you if this stuff's planned, if this stuff is planned to be changed in advance, just launch a patch with all of the changes already in, and see how it goes.
Think about, based on the past, what will people ask for?
Yeah.
And want, and then have a think. I mean, here's VRA is okay. One of our members who said, since launch, I've spent $60 recrafting.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's a boxed, that's a boxed expansion.
That's a game.
That's
almost a new AAA game.
Yeah.
Well, not that it's like AAA is a stamp of quality, but
of course.
It's Miles Morales, Tsushima. Yeah. Man, there's fucking great
shit,
games
Tsushima's out yesterday. Shit.
Yeah, it is. And guess what I scrolled past on my PS5 to go and play FF14? Tsushima, and I thought, oh, fuck, I really want to play you as well. So, yeah, it's that thing, right? I'd say little thought experiment. Imagine, I'm going to throw a bone to, a certain maggot box streamer.
They're still there yet.
By the way, Zach knows I'm fucking with him. We're all good. Like we do get on well. The bone to him is on, of course, the corruption vendor, because basically I'd fucking mentally checked out by that stage, and then he was just like, rotation? What the fuck? I'm like, oh yeah, shit, you're totally right. So it's like, imagine a patch 8.3 that launched with all of the balance being better and how it was by the end, and a corruption vendor with just buying them. No rotation. Just buying them.
Nice.
Imagine, like, I actually think that would have been a way more engaging patch if you then maybe did something to increase access to horrific visions without having to do boring shit.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, there is a version where, in terms of your regular daily play experience, 8.3 is like twice as good as it was at launch. And it's like, if it had have been that from the very start, and I think it would have been very, I mean, it was extremely easy to intuit all the problems that 8.3 had. That's why I would say we have to be more mindful about these things when they go in the game. Because WoW is generally better after it has its public beta test, which is called it launching as a paid product.
Which is called the first 2 patches.
Yeah.
Sorry, 3 patches.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's it. You know, we're still in public beta. Now, get your, I don't know, man, get your Happy Vaseline ready, because a big new features came out. I don't know how that came out of my head. Sorry.
Oh, fuck, that's good.
Happy Vaseline,
Sorry
and
about
you'll need the Happy Vaseline, because these are empowered conduits. You got to fit them in.
I was actually, when you started to speak, I knew you were looking for something, and I was like, please don't make a joke about these being slots. Please don't.
Yeah, there's some WD-40, you know, don't even need to use Vaseline. WD-40 smells better, you know, more convenient. But yeah, there's a big new feature. Everyone. A big new feature. And I think you should all just get your dicks out for it. Dicks out for conduits. Very, very exciting stuff. The first row of empowered conduits have unlocked this week, boys!
Let's go.
Woo. Yeah!
Except you have
empowered conduits!
I really needed mine for raid this week, and then I logged in and went, I have to do Shaping Fate, but raid starts in 30 minutes. Fuck, never mind.
The raid logger's problem.
Renown's a fucking joke.
Anyway. Look, I take the piss here because it's just funny, because in the past, it was like 2 streams ago, we asked people if they knew that empowered conduits were a feature of the patch. Like, most of the stream had no idea about this game feature.
Yeah. What are they?
Which kind of blew my mind, because like Morgan Day had talked about it and all that shit. But I mean, there you go. So yes, empowered conduits. What are empowered conduit slots? New to patch 9.1, conduits are socketed into an empowered slot will gain 2 additional ranks, i.e. over 26 item levels. These empowered slots are unlocked by further progressing the renown track.
Wow.
And this is going to be pretty big, because the whole point here is, you know, you have a limited quantity of the empowered sockets. So you want to put your most powerful conduit in there. So, I mean, for me, let's just say, I mean, I know that you could make an argument I should be Kyrian. Couldn't be fucked doing that. So, you know, the Wild Spirits lasts longer and does more damage. Yeah. You know, I put that into the empowered slot, because that's like my heavy hitter. That's as an example.
That's assuming the empowered slot is a potency one.
Now,
I think it should be.
Just that.
Both of those that week.
I'm nowhere near this level of renown, because I've just raid logged. Raid logged. That's it, man. I haven't done the other shit, and like we'd sort of done the story stuff on PTR. Actually, a part of the reason why I haven't done the story stuff, you know what? Because I'm now trying to think about how to sort of cut this out, but no, actually, or not cut this out. Order it. One of my projects that's been on our idea board for ages on our company Notion is World of Warcraft RPGs or console edition.
Oh, yeah.
And especially after doing a whole bunch of FF14 on the PS5, what I want to do is do a full UI overhaul do the most, like the best, most in-depth, most immersive, highest quality feeling. I'm going to put as much into it as I can. And then I want to roll through just, all in one sitting, the entire rest of that campaign. Because I want to see how it holds up to some of the FF stuff. And just I don't even mean this as a sort of, big meanie going to do a comparison. Yeah. I just want to see, because I really enjoyed the end of A Realm Reborn. Not the literal end, but I'm so close to the end. I just didn't get there in time. But I really enjoyed it, just chilling on the sofa, playing it like I'm just playing any other big RPG. And, I've done that with WoW in the past, and I just want to give it a proper shot. And then, it might even end up for me doing a video advocating for WoW to be on console. It's really interesting, because I think if you say that to a Final Fantasy audience, they'll be like, yeah, cool, more people go play the game. Awesome. And sure, maybe those people shouldn't be doing Savage Raids or Trials or whatever. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still, the end game lingo of that game is not like entrenched in my head, because I haven't really got there and experienced it yet. But, they might say that, but be like, this is a great way to experience the MSQ and be immersed and enjoy the game and all those things. And I just want to see what that's like with WoW. But anyhow. So this week, we're now level 61 and 62. We have the first empowered slots for all of these soulbinds. And the next week, Pelagos, Merleth, Naya, and Nadja. Get them. There you go.
Why are they
conduits?
Why are they like that? Why?
Oh man, yeah.
Why does someone get them next week, but others get them this week? Like, why?
Fuck you.
Why is that?
Fuck you. I remember that weird thing of, like, I was reading, the pre, just the pre-expansion launch guides.
Yeah.
And people are saying Savage is doable with the controller. Awesome.
Yeah,
like, I know at least in WoW, like, I could say that as a challenge. Someone did Ultimate with the controller. You know what?
Yeah.
Nickel Force? Total Chad. Cool.
Yeah,
cool, never mind. Fuck that statement of mine. You're right. And maybe I will try to do heroic World of Warcraft raid progress on a gamepad on my TV. Just, full on. I'm reclining, belly's out, controller on the belly. I'm just like that legendary fellow who unfortunately has died. Of course, from the cosplayer. Yep. Did the really just the fucking absolute perfect rendition of your man in the South Park episode. Like, I basically just want to fully go like that on a gamepad and just see will the raid leaders will my raid leaders who are Matt and Dakor, will they notice?
Right. The only so I will allow it, but one condition.
Yeah, chop and tuck, my dudes.
You have to stream this, and all the proceeds are split among everyone else in the raid that night. That's my condition.
Yeah, you got to subsidize me being bad at the game. Yeah, that's it. It's so that everybody else could go and buy RMT boosts to make up for me holding your progress back.
Knows they can buy alcohol.
Yeah. That's it. Grind some brain damage progress. Or liver damage progress, whatever. So, okay, there's that. Next up.
Wow.
I hope you didn't use up all the Vaseline in the tub, because open world gear drop item level has increased. Because, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, people of the world, players of the world of Warcraft, all of the WoW folks. It's big news. It's renown level 61, and now your World Quest gear is slightly better. Maybe this would have been useful or interesting for some players multiple weeks ago. But as with the Renown bar, in the way that there is a version of me who, at week 1 of this patch, was grinding out some BGs to get a full set of max upgraded honor gear. I didn't do that because the Renown bar didn't let me.
Yep.
And again, I guess there are world questers out there who have been, absolutely freaking bingered over the same way, right? So it's not ideal. So what this means, your Shadowlands world quest gear is going to be between eye level 200 and 203, which again, useless for everyone right now, could have been useful to players back earlier in this patch. And this is yet another example of the Renown bar damaging and hurting World of Warcraft.
If time gated your content in a weird way.
Rather funnily, you do get better gear from the adventure table. It can now go up to 210. And your Korthia dailies and rares can now start start dropping gear at 213, which is 3 out of 6. Now that is actually pretty sweet for a new character. But again, by the time a new character is fully caught up with all that renown, will they even need that anyway? Who knows? That actually has the funny effect of you never want to spend your research frags or any of that stuff, on that gear until you have that renown, so that the gear can then start dropping at that level.
No, it says doesn't affect
What?
Prothean armaments gear. So you literally...
Oh yeah, I mean, the stuff from rares and etc.
Yeah, but you said you want to spend stuff. Oh, you mean spend them on upgrades?
Yeah, upgrades.
I thought you meant spend them on items rolling. Like, no, you can't do that.
No. You
Okay,
want to...
right,
Yeah, I mean, you want to get the gear to drop at 3 out of 6,
And then
so
upgrade.
you then spend less for the upgrade.
That's
While the Q says hierarchy your stats in WoW, you can go back to the start of this stream if you want to go through that full section.
Yep.
I honestly do think that in regards to Izin's point, basically he is the one who's doing clickbait trash, and I think we basically BTFO'd him from the fucking sky, because his video was pretty shit and badly thought out. As for the accuracy of our stats, they are as accurate. Well, first of all, it's numerous different stats from different sources. It's pretty much all from the official Blizzard Armory API.
Yeah.
So I would say highly accurate, and also we deal with them in a highly specific fashion. So we look at the trends of all of the major pillars of the game, and then there is one of overall endgame population. That stuff is accurate, and we heavily stand by it. You can check that at the start of the stream. Alternatively, we will clip it and put it in the clips channel
Oh, it's going to be a long
early
video.
next week.
Oh,
It'll
dear.
be a long clip and a fun clip.
Sorry, Connell.
Sorry, Connell. All right, so for other things then, it's Dungeon Week this week. So if you want to do something over the weekend and get yourself a bit of heroic Sanctum of Domination loot, then this is pretty sweet. And as Dakor says, this can reward you with Domination gear. So yeah, do 4 Mythic Dungeons, which I believe in the past, like was it an early BFA at least, it didn't include Mythic Plus, but now it does.
Yeah, that's
It
right.
does. It
Yeah.
includes Mythic Plus. So that's a great way for somebody to get a bit of SOD loot.
Yep.
And again, Domination gear can drop from that. So
Yeah.
pretty big.
I was about to go off on a tirade, being like, why the fuck's this also random? Fuck this. And then I just thought, you know what? This is the kind of thing it is fair to be random. Because it's a little gimme. And I think those are fair to be random.
That's just a dumpy wee
Why
bonus.
is everything else fucking random anyway? Carry on.
Yeah, no, I think like the little sprinkles, it's what you said earlier,
Yeah.
like the little sort of sprinkles and things, these totally grand. It's just that when the very core systems, that's kind of your issue.
Is loot not random enough to begin with?
I don't guess that's what many people would say. And then I suppose people would also say, yeah, but it felt shit when they removed Titan Forging. It was the start of BFA. That's because they removed Titan Forging, but they didn't actually have what Titan Forging replaced, which in the case of Mists of Pandaria was gear upgrades, and in other instances has been the deterministic acquisition of gear via JP and VP. So, right, Blizzard's clarification on the conduit upgrade items. Okay, so they say, hello, everyone. And Blizzard released this clarification. It will now always pick conduits that fit your spec, including generic Covenant ones. So if you have all your conduits at 239 now and start using it after the change goes live tomorrow, it will only find your spec and Covenant ones to upgrade further to 252. You would need to change spec in order to get the other ones to increase. Additionally, the upgrade item will not function if all the conduits for your spec are upgraded. The item will remain in your bags for you to use after changing specs. Wow. Question. You guys never explain this stuff, but it would be real nice to know whether or not that chance percentage goes up with Torghast level. They confirmed the percentage drop of the up to 252 conduit items does increase with your Torghast level. And then they also say the drops, question, the drops from Adamant Vaults and Torghast are rather confusing. Are they once a week or a chance per clear? And it's confirmed the Deathbound shard only drops once a week in Adamant Vaults.
Nice.
Would have been nice to know that earlier, but good to see those clarifications for sure.
Yep.
And, look, I've literally, I don't think I've talked to the person who's done this, but like I have talked to CMs at Blizz, and I can definitely say they are good people. They do want more communication. They do see the importance of all of that. You just have to remember that sometimes these people, just because of where they are in the company and the systems of the company, it's hard. It is unintuitively hard for them. It's unintuitive to us as outsiders. to be able to get the communications out as quickly. But, for me, it's like whenever I see something like this, I want to be very clear in that I'm happy with the communication. I praise the communication, encourage more of it. So, more of this. Absolutely more of this. And I remember, was it last week we noted there was a blue post and we didn't recognize the name?
Yeah, it's a
blue poster.
Linksy, I think.
Yeah,
Linksy.
so
that person's been posted. Basically, I think they've been brought on as, this is your CM who brings you all the good news. Because that's
because they fired Caden.
Yeah, because that's all they've been posting is just, here's the new thing that's good, here's the new thing that's good, here's a clarification, and we've answered some questions. So you can see there's at least from, I don't know if this is like someone who's new to the job and is like really antsy and going for it before they've fallen into the mire of whatever the hell other CMs seem to fall to, or if it is actually an institutional push from the team to go, right, get more feedback, okay, CMs, these devs are now open to you to speak to, because that stuff would be fucking fantastic. Just have to wait and see if any of that stuff comes across with system things further on or deeper down, because that'd be fucking stellar. Stellar.
Okay, right. Next up then, patch 1.1.4 of Classic. New Classic build was pushed to the Blizzard CDN earlier this week, named 1.14, that adds Ray Trace Shadows on DirectX support. When news of this new patch being pushed first dropped, people were hoping for Classic Fresh servers. We don't currently know what their plans are for Classic, but yeah, Dakor recalled earlier that Blizzard had sent out the survey to random players that did talk about like Classic Fresh and things like that. There's some of the survey as an example. We, of course, cover this in the stream when it happened. Has there been any other updates on Classic Fresh?
Nothing beyond this new patch.
So I wonder if, can I find Adam Gold's Twitter?
I don't think there's been, because I know this patch is in the PTR is in a very strange state, phase-wise. It doesn't exist in any specific phase.
Yeah.
But, that.
So I just remember he did this. Okay, he did get some shit because he said boob slider, and I don't know, I thought that was... that was obviously a joke. And
definitely a joke.
Yes. But anyway. So he had an example of like a bit of a wish list for a WoW Fresh.
Yeah. Certainly ambitious.
And it does get you thinking, right?
Yeah.
What would be good here if we are to do some sort of Classic Fresh? I mean, I would absolutely advocate for, something like an old school RuneScape.
Yeah.
Where, they very much listen to their community. It's just like, what is Classic like when you remove the artificial friction? That's his sort of point of generally. And then, I'm thinking, he says new zones. He says voice acting for more quests. What would happen there? And then what would happen if you started to get Classic WoW Fresh, where you are actually putting in, like a new zone, or like those, the way the Hearthstone events like Forged in Barrens, United in Stormwind. What if you just get little things like that? They add some new reps. They need to work this out in terms of numbers, but like, how could they add a new tier?
Yeah.
Would there be a way to do another iteration of class changes to maybe, be a little bit closer to some of the welcome TBC changes some people liked? I just do have to wonder. People are saying about the poop slider. It's like a bit of an ongoing joke and meme. It's just, I think a lot of people want, granular character control. And, I mean, yeah, if you're going to do that, I think controls for any dimension of your character are a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Like, do you want a small dude? Do you want a dude with, like, big ripped pecs?
Not a very big pointy chin? Or a big...
Do you want big boobs, medium boobs, small boobs? Do you want, I don't know, a bulge? Even though that's... When you talk about bulge, then you're talking about primary. It's an interesting specific thing where it's like the thing that humans generally find sexy is the secondary sex characteristics, not the primary sex characteristics. And, boob sliders, secondary sex characteristic. Some of that stuff with like, the old muscles and those, big hard pecs and stuff. That's also a secondary sex characteristic. Adam, sure. I think the reason why you're not going to see those in a slidery sense, I mean, you could see a slider that like changes things, but that would be between handmade gradations, because I don't believe the WoW, like the technical side of WoW exists in such a way that you can just, you know, let's just say you want to make the chest a bit smaller, make the character, you know, just grab them and go, whoop.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you want their torso to be a bit taller because, you know, people have got different, like, body plans. That's not it. Different. You know, it's like some people got long legs, some people got short legs, some people got big torsos, small
Different
torsos.
configurations, like.
Yeah, I don't know what BTO is like, but I remember, like, you know, in EVE Online, it's like, I had this character and I could grab his waist and just like move it in and out. Nice. You know, do I want it big or small? Do I want, you know, just grab the nose, grab like the different sort of sections of it. But it's just like that requires a fundamentally different approach to actually how your characters work in the game to what World of Warcraft does, which is why you're not really going to see things like that in WoW unless they did, I think, decently, you know, big changes. Yeah. Especially with how it would impact how WoW does armor, and stuff like that.
Don't think that's basically ever happening. Basically, although there is some clarification from Patrick Bordelon in chat who says he corrected himself afterwards and said, "and a thigh, butt, and bulge slider too." So,
I'm just like give everyone everything, let them have fun.
Yep, give them whatever the hell they want.
Like, I know there's people who like say the boob slider thing, and they're just going to think, oh, well, that's just big male gaze behavior. There's also loads of women who play MMOs, or, you know, anyone who plays MMOs, and maybe they want a character that better represents them, so maybe that's going to be a part of it. There's some people, you know, they make a character in an MMO, and it's a totally virtual character that they roleplay, and then there's for some other people, it's like their avatar. It's kind of like them, but in a virtual world, and the more that people can change, you know, musculature and all those features, and the more the merrier. It doesn't do any harm. But yeah, I brought that because I just saw some like rage on Twitter about him saying boob sliders. Is like, come on now, let's be charitable when we can.
There's Sango saying, I think Bellular Gaming needs to do react to this one. Guess you are.
So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but like, you know, just some of his examples: AOE looting, summoning stones, guild banks. That came in and was the Zolaman raid or the Zolaman patch of TBC. Instant mail, removing spell batching, other massive quest liens like the AQ gate quest. I can't talk shit about that. I'm dyslexic as fuck. Shouldn't let me near a keyboard. But there's just lots of very interesting, you know, things I think the community could think about. So I'd be really interested to see, you know, what would you guys like, especially, right? If you didn't play Classic and you didn't really think that Classic would super apply to you, what would make it apply to you? What kind of changes would you like? I'd be interested, because maybe there's a way where we can make Classic be this platform for a more sandboxy virtual world-ish World of Warcraft. I mean, Classic, because there's no flying mounts, it can do world PvP in a way that no other era of World of Warcraft can. So what would then happen if you just full on went and decided, okay, we are going to go and do world PvP, and we're going to double down on it, and we're going to add in, you know, like, what if they added in little objectives and little war campaigns that different sides could fight out on their server? It would be super interesting. Although that said, faction balance on servers is an absolute fucking nightmare. And I saw, was it Willie? I think it was Willie who, I don't know if it's spelled exactly like that. I think it's Willie anyway, but I think it was him. He did a video on the faction balance, and it was just because it's not really a community that I'm a big part of, so it was just fascinating to see him just show, like, you know, the underdog faction gets big, drives the other faction down, then they all quit, and then you have a server that's 99% alliance.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa. I wonder how Blizzard could fix that.
There's two solutions, right? And I think I saw someone mention this earlier, so it's not even my idea. Just hard lock the server. You know, if you can't make a character that if it isn't like 45, 55 in that kind of range, if it isn't that, you can't make a character. So you literally cannot have a server that is more Horde than Alliance. Like, that comes with a lot of downsides, but the solution they went for was, you know, Cross Realm, which has its own problems, has its own issues overall.
There's Hermod X. I mean, that's
nice.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it feels very much like just you kind of have to lock it. You kind of have to deal with that problem. If you want to have faction balance, you can design for faction balance all you want, with, you know, different racials, different maybe, you know, just races that people enjoy playing as, different content to do. But at the end of the day, if it's PvP focused, you're going to need to cap that within, like, even 55-45 sounds too much because there's 10% difference there. It would need to be like 48-52. And then you'd be, you know, all the problems that would bring would it outweigh the fact that you now have a balanced server, maybe? I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Apparently that's actually an Asmon's post. Well, if that is an Asmon's post, then I totally... I think I'd agree with that. In a world where you then basically double down on trying to make vanilla WoW also an endgame PvP MMO if you want.
Yeah.
Because it's just... I suppose I think about OSRS, I think about PKing and Wild and stuff, and I'm like, ooh, I just wonder what they could do there. Because there's just something that could be really special. Something could be really special, and there's also a special thing in that it's fucking Azeroth. People know Azeroth like the back of their hand. They love it.
Yeah.
So that is going to be a world where control of areas and the PvP, I mean, it's like you do that in New World, and I like New World. I had good, generally, first impressions. The areas of New World are not as iconic to people as the Azeroth ones, for obvious enough reasons, right? So I just think supporting some of that would be a cool experiment. I wonder if they could do it. Now, moving on then. Moving on, we have got the conversation we missed, Kel'Thas and the Accuser.
Oh, yes, that one.
We went over the 9-1 Covenant finale conversations, and it was recently brought to light. There's another one between Kel'Thas and the Accuser in the Venthyr Covenant Sanctum. And the reason why this probably wasn't picked up last week is because it requires the player to not only finish the 9-1 Covenant campaign, but also be a Venthyr. So, Kel'Thas. Kel'Thuzad has been destroyed. No, I should have been the one to claim vengeance. The Accuser. What would have been accomplished? Would it have changed the fate of your people? No. Nope. And the Accuser's like, yes, so this retribution would have not been for them at all, only for you. And now we get into how Kel'Thas thought and felt. And this is where it's good. He's just like, he was not there when Silvermoon fell. He was absent in its hour of greatest need. Failures haunted him ever since, and I think he's a character where, his arc in that sense, makes sense. And the Accuser's realizing you don't seek vengeance, but redemption, that he's committed sins in his life, but the ruin of the kingdom was not one of them, to repent for all else, but forgive himself for that. And I just think this is a nice characterization of Kel'Thas and also of the Venthyr. It's good whenever we just get to see that little bit of a softer and more, empathetic touch to the Venthyr. So I like that. I thought it was a really nice interaction.
Yeah, I feel like that's a perfect counterpart to how Garrosh ended up, where he's like, no, fuck this, I did nothing wrong. I think the idea of, Kel'Thas being, shit, yeah, that makes sense. Good talk. I feel better now. I feel like that's kind of having that process that this afterlife is all about actually applied to a character and happen kind of makes sense to me, and I like it quite a lot. Versus the Uther one, where it's like, here's your memory, Uther, I feel better now. You're like, what did you learn? I learned that everything around here is fucking wrong. And they're like, oh shit, you're right. Oh yeah, whoops, sorry about that. Whereas this one's how it's supposed to work, actually in action.
Yeah.
Going, well, here's your sins. Well, why do you feel so bad? I'm angry. Well, stop being angry, be happy. Fuck yeah, good point. But it's a bit unfair, but it's it's that general feel of here's emotional support for angry blood elf now going, fuck yeah.
It's just sad that Kel'Thas, such I think a great character, a fun one in War 3 and all of that. And we then you can understand Kel'Thas in TBC, but he turns into a bit of a meme for one of them, and then he's gone. And it's like now we've got him back again, and they're actually doing him quite well.
Yeah, just a shame about his voice actor. But
shame about the voice actor. Shame about the voice actor for sure.
Where's my fucking Metal Gear Rising Revengeance 2, please?
Oh, is he also Raiden? Oh, he's Raiden.
Yeah, it's Quentin. Yeah.
Is he still Raiden? Is he kicked off?
He hasn't had any work there.
There's been gigs for a Raiden in a while, but
no, I don't know. There's no project with him in the works. So.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, okay, so there's another thing we picked up on. It was just because, I love the props in WoW. There's times I'd go onto WoW.tools and just look at shit, because the one thing you can never say is that I think, the Blizzard have got bad artists, right? They've got fucking incredible artists. And one of the things where you really see the love and the care and the attention Like, especially walking around Borealis.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, hide your UI.
Gorgeous.
Put WoW on a big, like, you know, a 60-inch TV. Put a controller on it. Get one of those more cinematic cameras.
Yeah.
And just fucking walk around Borealis. And see the amount of love that's put in there. Our myth is there. Eli says, Bellular's last report in Ubisoft was pro-anti-French racism. I said that a friend of mine joked about how stereotypes of French men are true in their experience regarding Ubisoft, which I think is a fair observation for an individual to make. And also it's certainly a stereotype that I think some people are saying does fit.
Yeah, but the point is you're not saying it fits French people. The point is the idea that people stereotypically have
is fitting Ubisoft.
Is fitting this small subgroup of people who just happen to work together.
Yeah. Some of the specifics of that were like Ubisoft, people talking about there being a French ceiling.
Ah, interesting.
Where, you know, oh, what's that? You're Singaporean. Well, you know, we only really at the higher levels promote French people, so...
Right.
And they're just generally being racism and the like happening at Ubisoft itself.
Yeah.
It was interesting stuff. But anyway, the WoW artists are awesome. As I said, just go look through Borealis or any of the areas with small details, and you just see how crammed with beauty the game is. And just here earlier, a senior environment prop artist, Ashley Warner, announced her departure. And it was interesting. Did say that, just the thing to point out, I had bad experiences there, like probably every woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when you have a woman leaving the company, and there is really good news here.
Yeah.
Person's got a new gig and something they're excited about. So that is all, you know, great. We obviously all wish her the best. But it's just a case of, you know, woman leaves Blizzard and says, I had bad experiences there, not singular, like probably every woman. And, you know, if this is a situation where there's less women in the company than men, sometimes you have that problem, as I forget who it was, but you know, she'd pointed out that it kind of sometimes pits women against each other. But generally they'll be in contact because, you know, if you're a senior just gives you a back rub, or it's like even in that world, I mean, that's going to even change the fucking clothes you wear.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to wear something with your shoulders, you know, where there's like skin here, because you actually can't trust these fucking creeps to not go and touch you. Which insane. But yeah, you know, it just maybe indicates that, you know, if a woman's leaving the company and says that, you know, at least from her view, pretty much every woman at the company experienced, you know, stuff. It's like, wow, man. But more importantly, we did just go through some of the very, 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 very nice art. I mean, remember that Arakoa shit? That was so cool.
Wait, no, I hated Skyreach.
I love Skyreach.
Do I love Skyreach or hate it? I can't remember.
You should love it.
I think...
You should love it.
No, I know why I hate it. Because too many people getting blasted off the platforms and no one interrupting the fucking heal. That's why I hate it. I still think it was a fantastic... Warlord dungeons were fantastic.
They were.
They were great.
Oh, they were so good. I felt they were a big step up over MOP, and I just remember really enjoying them. Because there was a bit in the World of Draenei beta where they were way harder than they were in live. It was great.
Fuck, I wish I'd...
See Shadow Moon Burial Grounds when it's a sweaty clench? Good.
That boss is great.
Yeah, Shadow Moon Burial Grounds is an awesome dungeon.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, just that, like the art's so good. I just loved like the contours and the shape, and they're so well done. Then, you know, bring it into Legion. Oh, nice. So yeah, I mean, and then just you see it's all crammed full of love. You've got all the really nice prop detailing, things like that. If you're a druid, I mean, look at this lovely stuff she made. Look at this. Come on, it's so nice. So nice. Taldazar, Zandalari ships. It's just good sometimes to be like, yeah, here's a person who worked at Blizzard, and here's some of the things they've done. Because I think that just helps us actually see, I mean, oh man, it's so cool. Just see what staff at the company do, because what does happen is, you know, there's so many, oh wow, she did that. Holy shit. It's that thing where, you know, honestly, the systems design team fuck the player experience of the game so much. that sometimes you can forget the incredible individual contributions of probably the vast majority of the World of Warcraft team.
Like, what have people been saying for literally years and years now? Our team carries World of Warcraft on their shoulders.
Yeah.
And as much as a loaded thing that is to actually say,
Yeah.
you look at this, you're like, fuck. Like, the quality of this work compared to the quality of work on, some of the systems, like systems about gear that came out in this patch, for a specific example.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of them will resent us saying that because it's pitting employees against each other, and I totally understand why you would think that about your colleagues, and I would never begrudge an artist in being pissed off at us for talking about this sort of thing, because it is fair for them to be pissed off at that.
Yeah.
But it's just that unfortunate thing where we're I think we're all good people in different situations, different incentives, and different just overall situations, and from ours we've got to advocate for the consumer.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. Absolutely, a big loss for the company.
Yep.
Wish her the best, and I just thought it would be neat to highlight some of the really beautiful work that does go into World of Warcraft.
Absolutely.
Now, next there is this. Look, I did a full segment on this on our news channel, so if you guys want the full on this, check out the news channel. But yeah, Blizzard protected abusers. The upcomer article. Tyler Rosen, who is one of the people who founded Tespa. I think Tespa was most heavily involved in the Heroes of the Storm stuff, Heroes of the Dorm and all of that. I think the Morheims really liked the Rosen brothers. Now, unfortunately, he was then known in the company as Touchy Tyler. There was, her name has just slipped my mind. But basically when she was younger, yes, Bianca, college student, worked with Tespa. Think about it from her position, right? She's super into games, she's getting into the esports, joins an org. I mean, come on, how, was it bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed?
It's bright-eyed,
bushy-tailed.
I think so.
You're going to be in that situation, getting excited, Blizzard doing their tournament, and then the fucking co-founder of it sexually assaults her in a hotel room.
Touchy Tyler shows up and does what he's known for, like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
seems like it was maybe a bit more than that if it's, being, it's a full,
Fucking grotesque.
Yeah. And just, it's worth pointing out, one of their biggest supporters is the Morheims. And it just all calls up that thing of, how much do we know? How much did he know? How much did Mike Morheim know? I have heard a bunch of people say there's no way he could not have known.
Of course.
And I think that is true.
Yeah.
That's undoubtedly true, just given the sheer scope from what we understand. Then it's a case of, if he did know stuff, did he think it was being handled? Did he put too much trust in people like the HR guy?
Yeah.
I think one of the HR people involved is now at Dreamhaven, but I'm not 100% sure. That's awkward. I've seen some people who have said that their view is that, like, Mike's a good guy, means well, sees the best in others. And people kind of protected him from some of the bad stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. We can't teleport our minds. We can't fucking astrally project ourselves into his office in the past to find out.
That'd be really useful for getting leaks.
And then as for Rosen, well, he left the company to found Rallycry, and he's taken a step away from operations.
Hi, step away from operations. Doesn't sound like he's been tossed out onto the street where he probably belongs.
Who knows? Who fucking knows? It's sad shit, and I do think we need to hear a bit more from Mike, especially regarding people like Kilgore, who was supposedly like a kind of his successor in a way, who also seems to have done bad things, and just what was actually going on. And I think it's one of those challenging problems where, learning more would be good, but can some of these individuals even provide more information when there is an active investigation going, and perhaps they're getting legal advice that is saying, don't go and talk to the press. We have to keep this in the thing of the lawsuit. I mean, what are they just saying? Don't go do a Prince Andrew. Because remember, he was like, "Oh, these are terrible accusations. I'm going to sit down to the BBC and I'll fix the entire thing." It's maybe not how it went there, Big Andy.
Nothing was fixed. Oh man.
Very good, very good. Okay,
up next.
So we have some new videos. We have, of course, We have this. Yes, time to do some shilling.
It's us.
This video, which is not exactly a cheery video, where we work out some fun things, and certain other content creator forced us to respond to his very, very bad response video. But look, this I think is an interesting video. I think it's going through a bunch of things that we should definitely be thinking about, and a few things we should be a little bit alarmed about.
Yes.
So there's that. Dakar, I think, has given us a little selection. Yep. So we've got, Luis Barrega, the game director of Diablo 4, gone. Jonathan McCraft, gone. Another guy, gone. This is also where we found out about the terrible experience of the quality assurance employees of Blizzard Entertainment, and also some of the contractors, and just generally, Jesse McCree, that was the other one who was gone. So there's quite a lot in that video as pertains to Blizzard.
I'm sorry, I have a really terrible joke. So, if they get rid of Jonathan LeCraft, is it now just called World of War?
That's it, they fired the craft?
Because the craft has got, fuck me. I'm sorry, it's in my head, it had to get out. How to get out, I would have exploded. So, yeah,
so
continue.
We've got, if you want the thing we touched on earlier, this is the more full dive into it. Where, yes, some of their advertising partners are fleeing, including the American Army.
That's big.
Yeah, it's like the American Army has left the Call of Duty League.
Which is actually really interesting when you consider how many intelligence ties there are to Activision Blizzard. So even the CIA couldn't stop the U.S. Army from pulling out.
That's it. They oh, no, don't make. I
Don't
was
do it,
going
don't
to
do
make a pull.
Yep, I know what you're going to make.
Because there's a pulling out joke that is more of a generic sex joke, and then there's one that's maybe not particularly appropriate given the current environment and my fucking brain being broken.
I wanted to do it as well. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's us.
Yep. We're bad. All right, so we have some.
So there you go. This is our blistering new current affairs show.
Yeah, we have some feedback from a chatter, a chat member. Fuck those vids, Mike. Show them my stuff. Who do you think that is? Who would say fuck those vids, Mike? Show them my stuff.
It would definitely be John.
Yeah. So
no, it would be Nicky. It would definitely be. John. Don't think any of John's recent videos have came out this week, because Terralion comes out tomorrow.
Oh shit, that's tomorrow.
Terralion's not out. We have a big video on Terralion.
I forgot about that.
John has done some real cool shit in Blender. Basically, John's doing fucking machinima now. He's a big Blender boy. And he's doing great shit. It's really cool. He's working on another video beyond the Terralion one on Odin that is also very, very, very cool. And not to leave Nikki out, because Nikki also has done an extremely cool video. It's been done for a little while now, but we don't have a release plan for it.
That's correct.
With Nerzul and our big new style. And certainly whenever we can combine the new techniques that both John and Nikki have done for their respective things, and we then put them together, it'll be very big. I would say, though, a little call out to Nikki's work in the numbers video of those sexy,
that shit's gorgeous.
Sexy After Effects graphs. They were very satisfying.
There's a commenter asking how they were done. I meant to reply. After Effects.
After Effects, yes.
So nice. So nice. It was so funny seeing the work in progress version of the MVP version of that, which was literally just screenshots of graphs from Google Sheets, and seeing how much better it looked in person. I was like, oh my god, this is now a video and not some shit I've thrown together.
That video, because I'm trying to think, I think I had the idea. I couldn't really do it, and I knew Dakor would be better at that sort of thing than me. So then he was doing that. Yeah. And he spent I think 2 or 3, not full days, but over 2 or 3 days. He was maybe 4 doing the data. That was a 3 or 4 day on and off writing effort from you.
Yeah, it was 2 full days of work. Basically.
Yeah, and then it was a pretty big full LE edit from Nikki, especially doing those big graphs.
Yeah, it was nice.
So yeah, honestly, video like that takes quite a lot of time.
Yep, that's because you have to do it right,
It's because you have to do it right. Yeah. Anyway,
right, moving on.
So, I need to piss.
All right.
So, bio and then FF14.
Bio and FF14, yeah.
Baited you.
Is bio in FF14? It is in FF14. It is.
I use bio too.
Yeah, no, I actually mean the spell. Yeah. Bio is a poison spell from FF, generally.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, here is some dead air.
Hello. Hey, everyone. Dead air is not... Dead air, is that... Dead air, is that the... No, I'm thinking of Dead Set, the Big Brother zombie show that was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun.
Good.
Yes, I highly recommend. It's fantastic.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Also, hello, stream. Yeah, so let's see. A Realm Reborn. I really feel like supporting you guys, but I guess I can give you a little bit of talk about what I've been doing in Final Fantasy. I've been doing fucking Boscha again. Still in Boscha. Obviously, I'm in there forever. I did Delubrum Reginae, which was it the Queen's Palace, I think, in Latin? But it's fucking fantastic. It is, oh man. Like, the lost actions that are in Boscha, which are kind of like extra abilities you can grind out and carry with you that are 2 extra abilities from a whole list of stuff, as well as like buffs you can take. I would almost, for a World of Warcraft comparison, I would almost call them reasonable anima powers in a way, but also abilities like massive potency, instant cures, stuff like reflect, which will reflect stuff, things like dispel that you don't usually have access to. So you go into Delubrum Reginae, and you've got all of these like light anima powers, and you're in this group of just bombing through, doing all these like insanely difficult fights that feel, they're not insanely difficult, that's maybe a bit too much, but they feel difficult. Like, they feel, I would say, better than the majority of like normal or even most heroic World of Warcraft bosses. And you're in here with a fat group of people. You've got all of these interesting ideas or interesting abilities that you're using. So you have all of these like plans in your head for like, okay, well, I'll bring Lost Reflect to reflect this. I'll bring Lost Dispel to dispel this. Or, you know, like, one of the reasons I survived failing a couple of mechanics as a ninja was I brought Lost Cure 4. So I was able to just heal myself whenever I fucked up. And that was so interesting. Did I finish Zadnor? No, because I haven't done the 3rd chapter of Save the Queen yet. I was doing the 2nd chapter of Save the Queen. It was fucking, like, man, boss fights in FF are so cool. They're so
only
good.
the AR ones, but I'll certainly say whenever you get into them and then like the guitar music and stuff kicks in, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
there's no glasses here. I'm just gonna do an espresso shot.
Yeah, no bother. Yeah, no bother.
Wait, no, I've had 2. No, I can't have any more.
All right, Grant. Yeah, so Delubrum Reginae is so fucking good. The final boss in that, which I'm not going to spoil, is an amalgamation of, like, mechanics-wise, an amalgamation of, like, some of the previous bosses, which means you've got this whole raid that's a tutorial for the last boss, and you've got all of these things happening time and time again over the top of each other, and because you've experienced them already, even if you're doing it for the first time, you'll instinctively know, oh shit, there's bombs, I have to make sure I'm standing on the right bomb for the gravity effect to work properly. Oh, hang on, has the gravity effect been reversed? Did that cast go off? I'm not sure. You have to figure that out, and then you also have to move around a chessboard. At some other point, you have to move around the chessboard to stop other chess pieces from hitting you.
Oh god.
It's fucking, like, that's the thing about FF14 raid fights, especially like more recent stuff, like Delubrum, like Blackus Latori, like the, you know, I don't want to say any name. I'm trying not to say any names because names can be spoilerific in their own way. But some of the trials and stuff and the Eden raids, they're just so fun. And like, if you're thinking about them from a design perspective, like I often do, I'm just laughing. I go and I just laugh. I'm like, that's so cool. I can't believe you've done that. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah. Oh, the near crossover events. The near crossover fights are so good.
That's what we need to see.
Which is actually interesting. I'll just bring this up before you can go to your point, but that one of the bosses in the near raids is the first boss from Near Replicant. And I just started playing Near Replicant yesterday. So I got to the first boss and I was like, oh, I recognize this boss from Final Fantasy 14. Wait, that's not how it's supposed to work. It's fucking great. But yeah. Do you want to talk about Our Realm Reborn?
I'm just getting a few things.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Is any particularly interesting questions? Did he wash his hands?
I'm good.
Did he wash his hands?
Yeah. Is this a meme? This wash hands
it's
thing?
well, I don't know if it
Where's
started
it come
anywhere
from?
else, but I've seen it primarily from Asmongold, where it's just like, you wash your hands, and he goes, I don't need to wash my hands, got a clean dick. You know?
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm assuming they answer other, what it calls. I'm assuming other people ask streamers if they've done the same.
I suppose he must have like a Dyson dick cleaner in his bathroom.
Fuck, that'd be great.
It's like a fucking automatic car wash. Just fucking pop that bad boy in there.
Fucking hell. Yeah, that's my name.
Oh dear. Right.
That's my name.
Okay, the first thing to do. You know what? I'm gonna do Should I do console first? Because that might be the context. Because that's how I did most of my most recent gameplay.
Go for it. Go for it.
No, I'm gonna do this first.
Okay.
Keep them guessing. All right. I have almost finished Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. Now, I don't mean 2.1 onwards. I mean just 2.0. Just 2.0. I finally was able to sequester myself away and get a proper big play session of the game, which took me from... it's the Ishgard zone.
Kurthus,
yeah. Took me through there, of course, now all the way up to... basically, I ran out of XP at level 47. So I did the Thingy Mire, one of the later ARR dungeons in Kurthus. Anyway,
Stone Vigil?
No, it's not Stone Vigil, it's the other one. Stone Vigil was cool.
No, the area. It's not the area. It's... Why can't I remember?
Whatever it is, I did it anyway. Did that and filled out my hunting log. Not because it was the most efficient way to get XP, but because at one point I got off the hunting log thing and I just looked at it, I'm like, this will not do. It is not okay that my log is only half full. This cannot be. Aramvale, that's it, everyone. Yeah, Aramvale. I did that. So I now have, it's the quest from, I think, Minfilia that unlocks at level 49.
Oh, and so you're actually, I actually think when you go home, next time you play FF, you will be doing Cape Westwind.
I think I'll be doing that, and then I guess it's Praetorium straight after?
Nope.
Or soon after?
I think there's 1 or 2 quests after that. Then it's Castrum Meridianum and then Praetorium. So you've got like 2 hours. You've got like
awesome
2 hours of dungeon content stuff.
That is a big happy for me. I'll get into why soon. But yeah, so basically, like, at least if you look at a little, list of the MSQ, I'm basically at the bottom of ARR. I'm almost there.
You've got like 4 quests left to 2.0. Maybe 5.
And I'll definitely say what was interesting. So I'll go to some of my notes here. I really think the way to split this up, it's not the most fair, but in a way I'd say pre-Garuda, post-Garuda.
Yeah.
Garuda's the 3rd primal. And, basically the story of Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn is like the calamity happened 5 years ago where all the stuff happened. Louisoix dies? Does he die? I don't know. Maybe this is plot shit, so I'm not going to go anywhere near it. All I know is that his grandson's my mate, and his dad is in the trailer, and now I recognize him, and I've connected the dots. Anyway, right? So the world's got totally fucked by the moon and Bahamut and all of the...
Dalamud, which is the moon, and Dalamud, which is the moon.
Dalamud's the moon, and
Bahamut's the thing inside. Yeah. The dragon inside.
So that's not spoilers, everyone. That's like the premise. That's the premise.
Yeah,
and I know there is the coils
trailer.
Because I watched Asmund do the coils because he was doing that just before the Allcraft.
That's what he was.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Oh, he tried to like one last kill. We'll totally get it this time, boys.
Yeah.
Nah.
ran late like a...
So like that's basically your thing. And, there was this group like the Warriors of Light who are the people who are, able to sort of help save everything, be very useful. And I believe it's kind of like the Scions are... I think they're like a mixture of the Warriors of the Light and another group that I think Louisoix was like leading or something. Anyway.
Oh, you're thinking of Archons, are you?
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But basically, anyway, you've got the Scions of the Seventh Dawn who you join because of your crystal connection. I won't get too much more into that because I want to be very, very light. But the goal of the Scions is basically to defend the realm. They are the group who can think about the big problems instead of being caught up in state-level issues. The Circle of Knowing, that's it, yeah. It's the Circle of Knowing and the Warriors of Light, I think, like, sort of, smang them together. Yeah. You kind of got the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. So it's basically you're joining them and you're going on quests and adventures to save the realm, and the realm's big threats are there's these Ascians appearing, where the Ascians are like...
Actually, well, you find that out later. I don't know if you're supposed to know that, so I won't do it. I won't mention it. But you're dealing with these Asians, and you're dealing with the primals, where basically the beast tribes of the world are summoning in these primals. These primals are a pretty significant problem if you're living near them. And some of what's going on with these beast tribes is being fiddled about with by the Garlean Empire, who are, I think, the big bad boys, and the people who all I know is I face off against them and Gaius in Praetorium. Now, the thing is, that core story of joining the Scions, going to fight the primals with the Scions, you know, meeting Cid, him getting his, sort of remembering his past and all of that stuff, that is all, like, really strong and engaging.
Yeah.
And I was, like, decently gripped in parts of that. The problem is that pre-Garuda, they keep on just teasing you with the interesting actual thrust of the main plot, and then they send you off on random chores. Like, you know, before Garuda, you know, is this bit. So at the end of Korthus, we get the whole goal is, like, we got to go to this place, and the best way to do that is this airship. So we go to get the airship. We're like, okay, cool, we got the airship. But to get through the thing, the wind and the stuff, we got to go get the crystal. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, but then the first crystal that I get, the guy who's this, like, professor dude is like, oh, wait, you're using the crystal for that? Oh, yeah, well, shit. I mean, if you wanted that, then the crystal you just spent a few quests getting could be no use to you. And then you go to somewhere else. And a part of that is it Wineport or is it Aleport? Whatever it was. I'm literally, I think it's just before you go to the place with, like, the siren. You're legit just going back and forth and back and forth.
Yep.
And there are so many instances where it's just talk to NPC, teleport over here, go there, teleport over there, go there. And it just, ends up being so much filler, and it feels really bad. Or even in Korthus. That was a really weird thing, because, like, when it gets onto the plot with the Inquisitor, where, you know, there's a mystery to solve, that's where it's interesting. But then, honestly, to me, it felt like boring sludge before that, and I didn't like it. And it's interesting the bits that I had issues with are what a lot of FF players, to me, have referred to as the filter. And this is why here, I've just kind of, like, I didn't really finish this doc, but I have it split as, like, pre-Garuda, post-Garuda. Because Garuda's the third primal you go to get. And I can't really talk about, I mean, it's no surprise to anybody who plays this game that, you know, you're going to go and fight these primals, at least for the story of ARR. But what happens with the primals, I think I won't say. Yeah. But let's just say that before Garuda, you get, like, you know, a nice and decently long cutscene, actually, with Cid and, you know, his past. And then you arrive there, you fight Garuda, and while it's not the most mechanically complex or anything fight, you know, you get there, the music starts playing. It's all pretty cool and fun. Yep. And then after Garuda, it's when the cutscene happens.
Yum.
And the post-Garuda cutscene is just all of the plot threads come together. And it finally clicks, and it finally feels like you are set on, I don't mean a linear story, but, you know, like you've emerged, at least this is how it felt to me. It felt like I had emerged from the quagmire of, you know, there being lots of good parts, but also some fillery, boring parts that show their age. Yeah. And, you know, these times where it clearly feels like they've tried to give me the fastest path through all of this content, because, you know, that thing in maybe 1 or 2 years ago, they cut down the MSQ size and all of that. But this merge, they finally felt like, oh, fuck, I'm playing a linear campaign in an RPG, and I am super invested now. Because at that point where it hits post-Garuda and post-Garuda, the voice acting kicks in. Now, voice acting. Alphino? Alphino, right.
Alphino Levelure.
So, Alphino, I think his voice actor is grand in... I think the direction's maybe not perfect,
performance isn't stellar, but I think that's Sam Riegel. I think it is.
So it's like, I think he's grand. The Lalafell, the, like, older sounding Lalafell's also, I think, pretty strong.
Papalymo.
But yeah, it's that weird thing. Even though the voice acting isn't always great and is, like, a little bit rough, especially Minfilia, I think. And I mean, I wouldn't say it's the actor's fault. I think it's direction for Minfilia. But the voice acting kicks in. The story is it's very well motivated, the plot after Garuda, because of what happens just after you fight Titan. You guys will know. You know, it's just that thing. I'm so sensitive to spoilers for this game, especially.
That's the correct way to be.
But it feels really well motivated, and basically, you're dealing with the primals, and now it's time for really dealing with the Garlean Empire stuff.
Yep.
And just the character stuff feels really well motivated, especially because of what happened just after Titan. And it's like the budget feels like it's increased.
I think it might literally have something like that, but I get what you mean.
There's way more time and effort, it feels like, it's been put into things.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, a part of this is because I was playing on a controller and I wasn't super used to it, so I wasn't doing great, and I'm sure my gear wasn't optimal. But there was a few of the duties where I'm like, oh, I like died the first time, then it offered me an easy mode, and I'm like, I'm not fucking taking that. And then I go back in and I actually properly focus and do it. I'm like, oh, that felt a bit more engaging than I'm used to from doing this sort of thing in an MMO.
A bit more like a fucking video game.
It felt like video games, because whenever I did what I do in WoW, which, in this case was just, get my, the gauge that gives you the faster attacks and everything, and the Huton, yeah. I put up that, and then I just, do the fire AoE and the death blossoms to try to just max fucking giga destroy everything, and I die.
Yep.
And I am not used to that. And then I'm like, oh, whoa, wait, I actually have to think about this. And then it was I was doing one, and Sid died because I wasn't paying attention to his health, and I wasn't dealing with the. I'm like, oh wait, oh yeah, shit, and then I was like, okay, hang on a second, you are deathly tired. You focus, and I did, and I was like, it was more engaging, those little duties.
Yeah.
It was more engaging, and the way let's just say there's a bit where you're sort of infiltrating a Guardian base for a well-motivated goal for your character.
Yep.
And it's just nice how you're going from like cutscene into duty into running about the place. It feels way more immersive. It felt way more immersive, way more high budget, and it was just really, really well motivated. And I don't really know what else to say other than now that it feels like the Scions have all clicked together, and I can see the path forward in all of these games. Yeah. Whereas it's very hard to see that at the very start of the game, because it really does start you at the basics.
Yep.
It's now got to the stage where it has the click. It's like there's multiple times where the game clicks, but this is like the big click, which sort of makes sense because that's what people have told me.
Yeah. Also,
I'm sure Praetorium has got. Look, I'm excited to do Praetorium because I care about the narrative stuff, and like I think I'm going to enjoy not the bosses as like gameplay, but I think I'm going to enjoy just the bosses and cutscenes. I'm going to do a little bit of pre-research on it, just so I know the right way to play it, because that is a part of the roulette that a bunch of max level players do, and they optimize the fuck out of their runs. So I'm pretty sure they just run through trash, because when you reach the next boss and force the cutscene, the trash like despawns or something. So I need to play that right so I don't get, confused and lost and stuff.
Or just, go with people. Literally ask like 2 or 3 of us to go, and then especially if there's 2 tanks, then we can control the pace, which will still go fast, but you'll know. And you'll just people stopping.
Follow people will be fine. Yeah, so in that case it'll be fine. And that's like my sort of big old fun experience with with MSQ and Final Fantasy 14. I am not done yet. There's about 4 more quests to go, but I think would you agree that it's that post Garuda experience that then is how you understand how the rest of the MSQ stuff's really, really, really good?
Yeah. So what they tend to try to do is, like, it's a JRPG. They follow, like, which is interesting because I think that FF14 does a lot of stuff that's really unique and really, really sound, but most of it's the very foundation of good JRPG. Especially after playing the early Final Fantasies because of the pixel remaster, I'm like, oh, I can see how you conceptually it's like they didn't fucking try. Conceptually it's like they went, Final Fantasies early ones, how did they go? Structure boiled down, this is the structure we'll run with, and they filled in all the gaps, and it just works because it's that same energy at the end of every major patch, at the end of every expansion. You can feel the way you do when an JRPG is coming to a close. You know you're in the last 20%, and you're like, oh fuck, I've met everyone. We now have this massive thing looming on the horizon that we have to deal with. Let's go do it. And you're sitting there, you're like, I've mostly mastered my gameplay. You think a couple hours ago, or you think a couple weeks back, and you're like, holy fuck, like, thinking where you started to where you got now feels so impossible, because the journey's been so long and so massive, but you've done it a step at a time. And now they've got that last stretch of just, right, race to the finish. You're in for a narrative climax, which is actually one hell of a climax in a couple of ways. There's one person who said when there's a song called The Maker's Ruin, when that plays, it is actually like, it's a kind of moment where you're like, fuck me, this game's amazing. Imagine when you first fight a primal and the music kicks in, but that times 10. It's fucking fantastic. But it's like basically they just you know, it's the end of the MSQ, so you've done all of the groundwork to have the final experience. And they do that, but iterated on and faster every time. Where you go to a place, you learn about the place, you get the people, learn everything, get on, finished. Obviously the stories are all very different, but it's that fundamental, here's a good JRPG story. Or what you probably should say, here's a good story. It's just that JRPGs seem to do them best overall because of the how they do the cast of characters and stuff. And that's what it does really fucking well.
Yeah, and that's what I've experienced. So yeah, gonna be good. It's funny. It's like every time I progress a bit more, I can think about some of the bits from the cinematic trailers. I'm like, oh wait, I kind of know who that person is now, or I sort of understand that thing. So yeah, that's mostly that. There's not a great deal else to talk about for this in the MSQ without spoilers. Basically, had a blast. I think definitely got the bit where you're gripped in this story. Multiple people told me that it's like getting to Garuda's the filter, and I totally get. I get why people said that. I get the issues up to there, and I totally get why you get very excited in that Garuda and post-Garuda era. I think it would be interesting if they could cut down MSQ, maybe a little, not cut down, but just if there would be a way to remove some of the unwanted texture, you could say. Now, it is tricky because some of that does also do some world building, but certainly every FF player I've seen has said that it's a game that does put its worst foot forward in a way.
For sure. Yeah.
But fucking hell, yeah, you hit this and you're like, oh yeah, I really, it's not just, I can see it and I can see the good bits. It's like, I get it.
Yeah.
So
once you feel it, you're like, fucking hell, how did I bother doing this? And then you get to the end, you're like, oh right, it was worth it. It was worth it's worth every second.
Yeah.
But it's weird because there's a lot of stuff they do that's like world building that you don't really realize. And I think a lot of it's, especially with how kind of deep and not really deep or particularly convoluted, but with how the magic system works and how they constantly talk about ether, they constantly talk about crystals. I feel like there's a because of that specific bit as well, where you are dealing with these problems and you are listening to science engineer man say, well, here's a science engineer problem, we need to science engineer it. And you're like, well, what the fuck? I'm just the warrior of light. What am I doing? Can I just wait for all you brain people to figure it out? And it's like, sorry, we need to solve brain problem. Can you go muscle it out? And you're like, okay, fine, I'll go do it. But by process of almost as osmosis, by the time you're done all that, you kind of go, oh yeah, I have a really profound understanding of how all of the systems in this work.
Yeah, it does build up.
Yeah, and then they constantly use those stuff again and again and again. So whenever, you get to significantly later on, like in Shadowbringers a little bit in Stormblood, where they start to talk about really deep foundational stuff, you have all of the knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's like, even cutting out things like, here's 20 minutes of running back and forth about crystals, they could cut that out, but then there's a chance that someone comes back and goes, what's all this talk about ether? Because if you don't understand, it's almost in the way people understand World of Warcraft cosmology, but that's not relevant to the game understanding very much.
Yeah, I guess it's not the info that's communicated. I guess I just wonder what would happen if they, as a part of a feature at some point, retackled that MSQ, brought it up to date a little bit more to help with the new player experience. I say that I've had overall a great time and a super great time post Garuda, and I am very fired up to hit what people say is sort of the next filter in the ARR
Yeah.
patch quests. But no, I get it now, and I'm definitely, fuck yeah, Heaven's Ward, let's bring this shit. I just know that like it's it's probably ARR MSQ is probably not their best story compared to the expansions, but it would be cool if they were able to tell the story of it in maybe a slightly more modern way.
Yeah,
but I just say that in the context of it would be useful for their new player experience and just how successful their sales funnel is, for sure. But that said, they don't massively need that because the entire community says, trust us, it's worth it.
Yeah.
And I would agree with those people. It definitely is worth it. And it's going to be exciting as we move on. Now, other things to talk about.
What have you got?
Console. Pretty simple.
Console
I
loser,
played loads of FF14 on my PS5.
Nice one.
Funny enough, performance-wise, don't set it to 4K.
Nope, do not do that.
Do not
It
do
does
that.
one.
No, the engine,
Very shit.
engine not happy. So, the 1440p, and it works out great. Now, let's talk about the why. For me, it is just a different experience in console and PC. Because for me on console, I am on the sofa. It's a bit more relaxing. It's maybe I'm lying down on my side, instead of murdering my lower back on a chair or whatever. But it's a different context of play, and it's also gameplay that's not happening on my work device, the notification machine.
Yeah.
And I there is a value in that, especially for a game like this, somewhere where you're getting no Discord beeps and no bullshit.
Yeah.
There's definitely a value in that. It's just like how people will have a home office and they'll do their work stuff in the home office, and then they're relaxing stuff elsewhere. It's kind of like that for me with how I wanted to play specifically what the MSQ of this game is like. Yeah. There's that. Another nice thing, just PS5, it just works.
Yeah.
You just open the thing, and then it's there, and it works, and it's quick and easy and handy.
Game is there.
Which there's a value. There's a value in that, to be sure. Now, the thing people are going to be like, oh, wait, controls, though. So I'm playing Ninja. The way it basically works, right, if you look at this image here, you have 4 sets of 4, right? So if you hold down R2, then your D-pad will be these. Your face buttons will be these. If you hold down L2, then these are your face buttons. These are your number pad. So for me, my rogue 3-piece combo is just here, here, and here with Death Blossom here. I've got a few utility and other things there. And then this is where controller works so well for Ninja. And that is, I've got my 3 mudras here and then ninjutsu here. And that has actually helped me with Ninja gameplay so much. Because it is 4 buttons.
Yeah.
That system, at least from what I've experienced of it so far. Maybe it changes later. But it all fits and plays real smooth like that. And then there's other accommodations they've made. So the way the camera, the follow camera and stuff, all works quite well when you're there on a gamepad. If you wish, and there's one change I'd like them to make, and maybe it's a toggleable setting, I'm not sure. But you can press R3 to target lock onto what you're currently fighting, and it actually changes the camera.
Yeah.
So if you move to the left on your gamepad, to the left, it will move to the left, but it will move to the left centered around the NPC that you've targeted, so you'll circle strafe. The only thing I would say is whenever you pull back, you backpedal. And that can be really annoying for moving. It would be better if it just fully positionally turned you back, so maybe that is a toggleable option, I'm not sure.
I can't imagine
but it does actually feel quite good and cinematic there, which is funny. Then the other thing is actually setting up your keybinds. You need to know how to do it, but once you do, it's real easy because you just open your list of actions, you go to the action you want, you hit the button to bind it, then you hit the button on your pad, and then it's done, it works.
Yeah.
So that aspect of the gameplay just works really well and easy. Now, that said, if I get any more abilities, I'll have issues. And I'll need to, swap my set. And so basically, I need to work out how far you can push it.
I mean, people raid Savage on basically every job.
Somebody said you can change from standard to legacy controls. Oh, legacy movement. Right, there is a toggle for it.
Yo,
That's fantastic.
Sick, nice. That's good.
So I'll need to work out a better setup for that. I mean, for me, it would be easy enough. I would just map the face buttons to abilities and then have the R2 be a modifier in that. So I'll have to see if that is supported and possible.
What default face button?
Or sorry, I would make these be default face button, and then if you hold R2, a different set of abilities. That's a bit closer to how I did it with World of Warcraft and gamepad.
I'm not sure. I think
for more buttons.
Oh yeah, the R1 just tap through stuff, or hold L2 and R2 is also another set.
Yeah,
but I don't think there's a way to have the face buttons do actions, because I think you could. I don't know if you can maybe bind them, but because you have to use face buttons to navigate the world. I think maybe there's a way to bind it. I'm not sure. I've not really played with controller very much because.
Oh yeah, there's an option to activate set 2 with LBRB. So that would.
That's right.
Yeah. So look, I'll need to get it refined a bit more, but at least for my current purposes, it's worked quite well. And there are some things. Is targeting harder? Yeah, it is. But with how you end up doing most of the combat, it's fine. It works.
Yeah, and it's not like gameplay wise, it's so different from World of Warcraft, where a lot of what you'll be doing is like targeting loads of shit all the time. You don't have to do that as much in FF. Like, there's cases where if you're playing like a bard, you'll want to multi-dot a load of people, but generally that's relatively a smaller case. You'll get away by using AoE substantially more. And also you've got the enemy list, which means you do have a single linear list of enemies that you've hit or are in combat with. So you can just navigate through those instead of having to like deal with positional targeting, which is good shit.
Oh, yeah, nice. So other things then. With World of Warcraft, you can actually do a lot of this.
Yeah.
With the console port add-on. I'd highly recommend it. I've made multiple videos in console port in the past. So yeah, you can do well in this way. I'm interested to, as I said earlier, make a full console UI and setup for World of Warcraft. I mean, obviously it'll be a PC HDMI onto a TV, because WoW's not on console. But I'll do that, and I'll play through the Chains of Domination campaign just to see like how that compares to my post Garuda. Laughter comes from that. So I'll try that. And curious suspicion that FF will win because that's the game it's trying to win.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah. Look, the controls work. It feels smooth. You'd have to get used to things, but I got used to how the map works. The auto run stuff all works pretty well. Yeah. So overall, it's just a good, smooth thing. And then for me, it's just the experience. I think that playing this on console, with in my case, I've got at home a 65-inch Philips Ambilight. I didn't get Ambilight specifically. It's just it was a Black Friday thing a year ago. It was a deal that made sense. So it's not a mega high-end TV, but I mean it was 700 odd quid in a TV, so that's a pretty chunky TV, and it's a big TV too.
It's no LGCX like.
Sadly, no. I look at those. I look at those like big, Linus-y LED or OLED panels. I'm like, oh, that's so nice. But I can't justify the money. It's so expensive.
It's like $1,400 or something for one of the for the 60. That might be the 48-inch LGCX, which I'd absolutely love, but not a fucking chance. Like, not a hope in hell.
Yeah.
Good shit, like.
But yeah, so in that post-Garuda experience where a lot of it's the cinematics, the cutscenes, the sort of the big moments, that on a big TV, it just ends up being really immersive, really enjoyable. And I actually think that is how I am going to play Final Fantasy XIV MSQ.
Go for it.
I think I'm going to play it on PS5. And part of the reason for me is it is like a different mode of play.
Yeah.
It's a different mode of play. It's like saying, hey, you came home from work where, I do have a standing desk, but it's like you're not doing this in any way that's similar to your work context.
Yeah.
It's a totally different, separate thing. Maybe going to go chill, watch some TV show, or instead, we play some FF. So I actually think this is how I'm going to continue. And especially, the in-game cinematics and stuff get better and better and better over time. And I just think that for me, wanting to play at least the MSQ, like it is a big single player RPG. I think this is actually the format where I'm going to play it. And I'm sure that some of the WoW crowd will give me shit for this, because every time I talk about console port and that shit, they would give me shit for it. I mean, I don't know. I heroic raid with a mouse and keyboard and PC. This is just a different way of playing a different game. So
that's what I think's interesting. So I was just like, I could hear like the innate defensiveness and like, well, it's actually a fine way to play. It's here's all of the reasoning for it. I like, yeah, it's no one playing F is gonna go dumb console bitch. Like everyone could be like, yeah, that's the game's on console. That's how you're gonna play the game. It's designed with that in mind.
Yeah,
you've got all your movement settings. You've got your cross hotbar. You're not fiddling around for ages. It's just designed that way. So, like, go for it.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, FF on consoles are a really good experience. It all maps onto the controller really good. It was smoother than I expected. And overall, I just found it to be highly enjoyable. I think it elevated my experience, and I would recommend it to other people. That's my thought on that. Next, then, it's Mudra time. And this is where it was kind of helped by being on console, because it's kind of like if you're playing any game that involves combos, you're just used to hitting combos on the face buttons.
Yeah,
it just is how it is. So with the Mudras, it mapped on really well of the bottom 3 face buttons being the Mudras, and then triangle being ninjutsu. Yep. So yeah, the way that it works is interesting, and there's so many different ways. This is what I love, right? With the combos of the Mudras, because I think it's like 8 or 9 effects from 7, right? So it's 7 effects.
Does that include the cassettes?
Whatever it is. It's from 3 buttons plus another button to actually execute the thing. But what you then realize is, so for the ones that are only a 2 Mudra combo, it's the one that you start with. So, fire, then heaven. Yeah, it's fire then heaven for
Earth.
or fire then earth even, yeah. Fire then
earth.
Earth then. I say fire because the icon is, I think, fiery.
It's 10 Chi-Jin, which is heaven, earth, man.
Yeah, no, so it's okay. Fire icon, lightning icon, does your fire AoE.
Remember the mnemonic, it's fire rises from earth to heaven.
So I don't even need that, because the way that you remember the triple combos is that it's the release.
Yep.
The only thing you need to know, from what I understand, is that it's the release. It's earth release, man release, and because it's the final one, right? So, or at least that's how I did it.
That's not all you need to know.
What?
No, it's.
The NPC said, this was earth release, and
for talking about the first 2, maybe, but no, for like the 3, it's the individual combinations.
Yeah, there's 2. There's 2 combos to do each one.
Oh, there's only, yeah, but you can't just focus on the one button.
Oh yeah, that's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the way that I remembered it anyway, when the NPC said like, earth release, fire release, or whatever. So yeah, I kind of remember the 3 combos by the release, the 2 combos by like sort of which one you do first. And I quickly got to the stage where at least just playing that, and like, because the combos, I just remember the way I do all of them on a gamepad.
Muscle memory.
Like I'm just playing a game that involves combos on a gamepad, where obviously a lot of games played on a gamepad have got combos to remember. So it just very naturally fit. And it just felt great. You go in, you do your Huton.
You Huton. Before combat, you hoot on and then hide to get your Mudra back.
Oh,
hide resets 2 stacks of Mudra. That's very new.
None of that shit I'm doing, and what I need to do is, so it is. So I remember the combos more than the names. What's the one that lets you attack as if you're in stealth?
Sweet on.
Yes, I need to get
sweet on.
More up in that grill.
Yeah, you need to. You want to sweet on. Originally, you want to use it once every time trick attack's coming up, and use it there. Then you'll want to use it twice, because you also have a way to get Ninky from dispelling your own sweet on. So you'll want to do that. I think that comes after your trick. No, does that come in the middle of your trick window, or after your trick window? Whatever.
Yeah,
whatever you.
Basically, I don't fucking know. I'm just starting this off. But for my experience, at least, doing Huton before combat, and then just rolling in, doing some regular combat business, or maybe doing the Earth release one that puts like the little AOE circle.
Doton.
Doton, yeah.
Or as it's very funnily called sometimes, don't on, because tanks don't stand on it.
But yeah, just doing that. Ninja feels really good. When you get like just, I don't know if it's GCD or what the correct term is, but like just that it's a little
the rhythm
bit,
of it down, it's faster.
it's a little bit faster.
Especially when you're running with Huton up, so you got it to just over 2 seconds anyway.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
And it just feels really, really good. I love the mechanics so much. It's so elegant. Yep. It is multiple effects coming from a small number of buttons, and then when you get good at comboing all of those buttons together and doing all of the things right, because I know that like the Huton's only so long, and then you're going to have different orders, and it's just like the possibilities kind of open up in your head, and it's just a really cool system. When we last checked in, and the first time we talked about my impressions of Ninja, it was only when I had unlocked Heaven and Earth.
Yeah.
Where there's just less you can do with the two of those.
But
now that I've got the 3, it's a really cool mechanic.
Yep.
And I'm enjoying it more and more. And there is definitely more things for me to learn, more mechanics for me to get. I am absolutely going to be overwhelmed and confused. But I guess what's got me is that I like the pacing. I like the pacing. I like the broad strokes ideas. Seems really cool. Seems really, really cool. And I'm probably going to. Once this one gets up to max, there'll be plenty of work to do after. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say with Ninja. I like the gear.
The gear's pretty nice. The
Cool.
gear's really nice.
So, that's, and I do know I need to. I see. I'm stuck between like Red Mage and Samurai. Because I'm getting the vibe that I am going to get more XP than I need for a single job once I'm doing Heaven's Ward and above.
Yeah.
So I do want to be able to level 2 at the same time. So I'm going to need to work that out.
Pick one. Both are class. Both are sweet.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I'll just have to. So there you go. It's cool. It's cool. The job fantasy is very strong. It's got unique feeling mechanics that, compared to other games I've played, it's really unique. Cool. So I'm in. It's just, honestly, right? The stars aligned between all of these things. Because, I was playing on a console because, you know what? It basically, for the bit that I'm playing, it is basically a single-player RPG that sometimes throws me into a dungeon.
Yeah.
And I think just about anybody would admit that playing a single-player RPG, chilled out gamepad, big TV, big, nice, vivid colors, all, looking good. It's just a really good immersive experience. And then it helped that the game mechanics of Ninja that I have unlocked thus far, up to level 49, fit really well on a gamepad. And it just, all the stars aligned. I hit the part where the story really picks up. I'm just, happy.
Yep. That's
Good shit.
Your controller situation is likely going to change within the next, well, to be fair, the next 30 levels.
I'll get there. There's more things in how the controller works. I'm level 49 on Ninja, 32 on Bard. Is where I am. What's that thing? Like your leveling definitely slows down as you get into the 40s, and it's just then more time. Almost not even thinking about my level because I'm just doing the story.
Yeah,
that's the bit that matters.
You're gated by MSQ more than you are story-wise in terms of your progress. Yeah. Or sorry, does it MSQ rather than story? MSQ rather than level. That's what I meant.
And there is just one final thing I wanna say. I don't think the stream audience thought about this, but I'm going to try to bring the... Actually, no, I can't without signing out of the account. Basically, right, we did a little bit of a segment on leveling in FF, and it was based off a super chat that somebody asked. A whole bunch of people seemed to get the wrong idea. We got mildly dislike bombed. That was only 30% dislikes or 20%, so it wasn't that bad. But the comments were all completely insane to us. Because it was all like, oh my god, like these WoW players who are coming in and endorsing power leveling and all, bring all these degenerate things that come from into our game. And it was odd because absolutely none of that is what either of us believe or support in. What I think happened is that was a clip where we were talking about primarily you power leveling your alt jobs. I think people got pissed off at you whenever you were like, I'm just doing Bajin. Yeah, it's going to turn into a mindless grind, but I'm down for it. It's like a grind that feels good. I think people thought about you doing that almost like instead of property leveling. There was comments about, oh my god, skipping the MSQ. I was very confused because I don't think that even makes sense than how that game works. So it was overall very confusing and weird to me.
I have no idea. Look,
because we 100% do not promote the power leveling and stuff for a game like this at all. So
you're literally not playing the fucking game. Like the primary purpose of FF is to be an MMO, right? But it's also it is designed in so many ways to be a single player JRPG. That's the point of the game.
Yeah.
So absolutely do not in any capacity support power leveling or going through if you're the average player. If you're someone who literally thinks, I do not give a shit about any of the story, I won't give a shit about the story, then I absolutely say give it a try, because you might like it. It might get a bit slow, you might like it. Please give it a try, because it is fucking phenomenal. It is literally like in like, as far as games go, it's S+ tier. Like, it's astounding. The writing's magnificent when it gets to going. But if you really just want to, if you really just want to see endgame, then maybe find a different game. But also, sure, give it a try. But also, the main game is the fun bit in the middle, because it's a game. It's not rush to endgame, play those shite. It's here's your game. Here's your game. All of it is good. Please enjoy.
And that is, I think, what a more complete feeling MMO really is.
Of course.
And that's where WoW has struggled by, play the patch, not the expansion, play the expansion, not the game. So there's that. Now, there is one final thing I wanted to bring up, because I saw this just before. It's a Reddit post by, I'll just get their username here, by the Tanzanite, who, I'll just read it out for people. So, all those second screeners. Hello, recently I've been wondering if Legion was really the expansion most claimed to be, or if we're all just inebriated by nostalgia. So I decided to go through WoWhead's item model database and gather how many item assets per slot were added to on each expansion since Mob. Besides being a result of extreme procrastination, I'm also doing that because I'm noticing most of the newer systems are relying on non-visible gear slots such as Heart of Azeroth Necklace, Shard of Domination Gems, Legendary Powers for Recipes, and Corruption/Azerite Powers, so it could be indicative of multiple things. Blizzard managed to reallocate Warlords of Draenor's budget to Legion and or move WoD development assets to Legion. The Legion's budget was way over the top, so Blizzard suffered a sort of pushback whenever it came to BFA and we didn't have as much, or that WoW's budget is indeed decreasing after Legion. He says it could be one, could be all, could be something entirely unknown to us. And I think what we really want to get into then is the data that was found here. It's quite interesting. So overall, total number of unique items, 8,332. 7,500, so smaller from MOB to WoD, which makes sense. WoD was a smaller expansion in terms of patches. Then into Legion, which had 11,316. Then BFA with 8,124. And then Shadowlands, so far, is 5,044. Now, that said, I mean, my Covenant set has been mildly retinted multiple times and then given back to me as a new bit of gear. So, I don't, there's always that thing of like how different is the gear that you're getting. I mean, you look at the specifics, then there's mounts, right? It's like MOP 111, WoD 77, Warlords of Paymore, Legion 130, BFA 173, Shadowlands 144. So far, there's like 44 mounts came in the most recent patch, and a lot of those were, reskins, recolors, that kind of thing. And that's actually the interesting thing with the Shadowlands expansion, like. They put in a whole bunch of mounts. People were like, yeah, but we're kind of bored of the way you're doing them. So, which was interesting. It's like the mounts that people were interested in were the more like big, unique ones.
Yeah.
Like the Golden Charger or, or something like that. But I don't know, man. I just thought it was interesting. Certainly, you look at a lot of these in Legion and you're like, oh yeah, tier sets. Tier sets. I mean, shoulders are part of tier. We went from, it was 11,086 to 703. And it's that thing where Blizzard, they kind of tried to sell us on moving from tier sets with unique art per class down to them being, based on the, the armor type.
Yeah.
They kind of try to sell that to us as like, look, it'll be less there so we can do more overall. And that never happened.
by the numbers, that never happened.
By the numbers, it didn't happen. And there's a bunch of people then wondering, does that mean WoW's got a smaller art budget? I don't know. I say this, it feels like it does. It does feel like it does as a player. I'm not saying that's the reason why, but it does feel that way.
Maintenance mode, KEKW.
Yeah, I mean, putting WoW in maintenance mode is the most insane thing in the universe to do. I kind of doubt. I kind of doubt.
$1 billion IP, and we're not giving them any budget to make any of their games anymore. We'll just wait on the 2 mobile games to come out and do well, I guess, question mark.
Which is interesting. Interesting in shirts.
39 shirts in BFA, what the fuck?
Big win. That's where it all went.
That's where the budget went, yeah. Budget in these shirts. Fantastic.
I mean, at least in BFA, more weapons.
Yeah.
Just hardly a surprise given how they worked there. But I mean, I think
like that's a lot of weapons for them being artifacts.
People probably cared a bit more about the artifact ones just because of the tint, customization and stuff. But I don't know really what the take here is, other than it's obvious that in Legion there's a bunch of collection content that people really enjoyed, and that's kind of happened less and less as these expansions have went on.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably a bunch of like my general take on this is that I think there's a lot of internal changes that we have not seen. I think there might have been like significant staffing changes or significant pipeline changes or content changes, or even some directional changes that impact this that we don't see. Because I can't say any external factors.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's a matter of something's changed internally and it's resulted in this. Be that budget, be that processes, who knows? But I hope they can get back to some of those MOP or Legion numbers. Like,
yeah, totally. I don't know why. See, does anyone, if we go into the comments, I guess the thing with Legion then is they did cut WoD early, and I heard that Legion had more pre-production like any WoW expansion. So maybe that is the case. It's sort of hard to say.
This is the kind of thing that I have in my head. It's like, go back in time. The last big expansion that people really rallied behind and stayed behind was Legion.
Yeah.
So to recreate the success that was Legion, like literally just make Legion again now. Like look at this. Look at like 7.3. Can we just have an expansion that's 7.3? Just off the bat, 7.3. I don't give a shit if it takes you like a year and a half to make it or 2 years to make it. Just go do it. And it's like, we can't. It's like, well, you've got all the fucking money in the world. Why not?
It's like, you're the developers. There are only people who can.
Yeah. It's like, we can't do it. Why? It's like, what's the problem? Money. You've got money. What's the problem? Resources. Yeah, you've got the money. Get the resources. We can't use the resources effectively. Get someone who can. I hate feeling that way, where it's literally just, you've got the money. Go solve the problem.
Yeah.
Like you're a business. That's what businesses do with money. It's like, well, this content pipeline isn't working. We'll fix it. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But, man.
Yeah.
I miss the class halls so bad.
Oh, me too. Yeah,
I miss
big.
them so bad.
Big. Hopefully they improve that problem. I don't really know exactly how, other than make more shit that people actually want and stuff. But
yeah,
it's like it's just so hard to know exactly why this is this. Is it that Shadowlands had lots of customizations? Is it the team working on future content? Is that current content?
Yeah, it's like
we don't know.
Can't
know.
I'd love to see time for time numbers. Because I'd love to see what that number looked like for 9.0. Sorry, 7.0.
Oh yeah.
Because
that would be interesting.
Well, it depends, because you can imagine they won't explode that high. Because obviously, as an example, like BFA added. What the fuck did it add? Mechagon, Nashitar, and Mechagon, Nashitar, and Nihilitha assets.
Yeah.
So that can't have been too much extra compared to the pretty expansive zones that are already there. So they must have done most of the work first for the expansion. Kind of the same with Legion. I suppose they did a decent amount of work in 7.3, but it's not like 7.1 or 7.2 had massive amounts of new assets.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see the comparison. What did they use?
Wow. It's just
what?
methodology-wise, so some of your issues there.
Yeah.
It doesn't account for unique 3D models, as it's impossible to filter those. It doesn't filter out recolors. Shadowlands, of course, will have less because of quantity of time. So, not perfect, but there is just interesting stuff there, and I think it does line up with some player criticisms. I think a part of it too, just other than numbers, because it's very easy to inflate these numbers with recolors and stuff. I think what it was about Legion is it was the stuff that the people cared about. So there was class tier, and then there was a framework for understanding the cosmetics you could get and what you would need to do to get them.
Yeah.
That was granted via the artifact weapon system, and that worked quite well. So I think that's basically that. Basically that.
Sound?
And in a way, I think that might actually basically be stream for us.
Yeah.
I, once again, have
Big
got a drive to face down.
Yep. I have to go and play at least 1 or 2 hours of Nier Replicant before I go to sleep.
Yeah, you've been talking big about Nier Replicant. At least your update from last night.
Yeah, so I'm going to be brutally honest with you. The game is exactly as mid as I expected. In that it is decidedly, because it's an earlier game remade, it's decidedly a step back from Automata in a couple of ways. A lot of the design problems, I'm just like, I can tell this was a dog shit game when it first came out, but it had it had Yoko Taro's direction, had the story behind it that everyone loved. So far, I'm getting a lot of that, and I'm getting a lot of really super nice touches that feel fantastic, and I can feel like all of that influence going on. Just like, where the fuck's the game kind of sucks in the way. It kind of sucks though, which I kind of like. As much as it's a terrible experience, whenever a game's like, you get this rare item for a quest, and like, sweet, how do I get that item? It's fucking rare chance when you zone into this zone. So like, how do I zone into the zone? Oh, well, the exit's over here to reload it. So where do I need to get the item? You see this like 3-minute walk up here? Yeah. Do it again and again until this fucking item spawns.
There we go.
And do that for a quest if you want 100%. And I'm kind of like, fuck, man, this blows. But then I'm also like, you know what? Fuck it. There's just something about that experience. I was like, fuck it. I'll just reload my save till this item spawns. I don't know why. It's just JRPG jank. Feels fantastic sometimes.
That's like, you can deal with jank when the heart of something is what you really want.
Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, like guys, we will do supers and stuff, where we can. It's just a sort of thing. Me and Matt are trying to burn ourselves out less because, it's just the sort of thing you can know, right? If we stream from like say 6:30 or 7:30 until like 2 a.m, 3 a.m, that'll obviously throw our weekend off, and then it'll hit Monday, and we'll still be tired, and so we just have to do that so we can get everything else right, so we can get all the content. So then, we sort of go back to doing that a bit more regularly. It's, stuff's all good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like these segments that you've prepared for stream, the last, like, 5 of those you prepared them real quick?
Yeah.
That's a shit where if you're fucking exhausted, you can't do that shit. And we rock up here and go, what are we streaming? What have we got? Oh, fuck, shit. Versus me being off all this week, coming in fucking relatively bushy-tailed, even though I had, 4 hours of sleep, and it's been a 13-hour workday, but, sound like. Yeah.
Oh, I suppose now we do stream, and you were in early this morning.
Yeah,
so.
I was in early for the first time in fucking months. Yep, that's the problem. The amount of times we've racked ourselves from just coming in here and being like, I guess we'll just stream till like 2 a.m. Like, well, what's bedtime then? 4 a.m. This will have no knock-on effects.
Yeah, and then it carries forward, and it's the sort of thing. It's like, I can't play FF14 on a Saturday and probably engage and enjoy it if I'm totally knackered and really only have the energy to just go outside and do the things I need to do.
Yep.
And then flop over in the sofa. Now, that is a part of why I've set it up in the PS5. So even when I am in like, oh yeah, I am absolutely bodied, I could still do some. But there's times where that it's something that is worth appreciating. And therefore you don't want to engage with it when you don't feel like you're ready for it. Like if you play, let's just say, I was super, super, super tired. That's not the time where I should start playing Shadowbringers MSQ. Or I should play the Shadowbringers MSQ. Probably, I should be well slept. I should set a day aside so that it's 10 a.m. I've got everything I need. perfect environment. Now I'm going to sit down, sample some very fine video games.
Yeah, you should fucking wake up
way to do it.
wake up, work out, have your fucking your protein smoothie, and come
I'll
back
just
and
do
sit down
everything,
ready
yeah.
to go. Like, I mean, it's the same. I'll actually use Nier again as an example. Nier Replicant came out in April. It's been sitting beside my PS5 since fucking April, and I only started playing it yesterday. And that's just because I've kept looking at it going, I'm not ready for you. I'm not fucking ready for you. But then I felt like it yesterday, and it was like 6 hours of me being like, oh, the fucking video game straight into my veins, please. Just all that, just everything. There's just something about that series and how they will tell a story that you do not expect from anywhere else. Like, there's literally one of the first, like,
I need to get in there.
one of the first quests you get into is like there's these two kids that are like, you know, kind of not really young kids, but they're kind of middling. One's a bit older, one's a bit younger, and they're looking after the shop, and they're like, like, our mother's not been back for 7 days. She's out collecting junk in the junk heap, and you're like, right, you know, the protagonist is a nice enough lad. We'll go, you know, after a bit of persuasion, we'll go, sure, I'm going down there anyway. I'll go look for her. And the resolution of that quest is just, you wouldn't find it in any other video game. That's like, maybe you'd find it in like something like Disco Elysium or something written with that kind of style of like, we're going to do something a little bit interesting here, a little bit unique. You wouldn't find it fucking anywhere else. And it's just so unique and refreshing. It's fantastic. Even same with Nier Reincarnation, the mobile game, which Reincarnation is a mobile game, fucking sucks. Like, it's just a mobile game, shitty mobile game. But it's got some of the storytelling bits of, it's got the style of Nier with a little theatrical stuff, a lot of like theater like movements and camera work, a lot of theater like lighting, and just these little cute stories that are like, well, you know, I saw the setup and then you blindsided me. Not even like really blindsided me in an extremely like perverse or an extremely like emotional way. Literally just, oh yeah, you didn't see this coming. And not in a way that feels like, you didn't see this coming. But it's just like, oh yeah, this is how this story plays out. You're like, fuck, ow, okay, sure.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, man. Games.
Sorry about that.
I've got a copy of Autonomy installed. Just need to play it. So,
Go for it.
do you want to say a thank you to Black Cat, to
Yes,
Henry
thank
K,
you.
to Matt R, who all super stickered at us during the stream. So, thank you all. And then also, if I can find the bouton, to Cedric Munger Scariff? Scariff. Yeah, Cedric for joining as a member. And also thank you to everyone in chat for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
It was a very fun stream. I'm going to go to the land of hopefully decompressing for the weekend so I can hit Monday real fucking hard. Get some shit done. And that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's us.
That's us.
I don't have like a neat way to end the stream with a little bow.
Yeah, I'm going to drink some water and play Nier.
Sounds good. Yeah,
Fuck
I'm
it,
going
let's
to
go.
get in a
Let's
car and go down the road.
Nice.
But at the end of that road, there is a
A
bathtub.
junction? No, another. Okay.
There's a bathtub. There is coziness. There is being at family home and relaxing place, which will charge me up for the next week. So yes, right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day, morning, night, wherever it may be where you are, and we shall see you all next time. All right.
you,
Oh,
and
stay tuned for the Trallium video tomorrow.
Oh yes, the try video tomorrow.
How's the sponsor approval came through? I don't know.
Don't
if it
know,
has.
but
Shit, it
easy-
might not be tomorrow.
Easy wins is good to go up though.
Easy wins is good to go up, so maybe we can put easy wins up if that's done.
Yeah.
And hey, Trallian's and patrons, so it's that thing. It's like whenever we put things live on Patreon, I always have got to be like, hey, we put it up there just because it's Patreon and it's kind of hard to check. It's like a different platform and all the stuff. As is, by the way, Lore Walking episode 4. So if you want an hour and 12 minutes, I think, of me and Matt talking about dragons and Galakrond and maybe even tying Galakrond into the jailer stuff,
Maybe.
big fun. So, all right, that's it. That's me. Okay, good evening, everyone. See you now.